Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's You Gotta Try This podcast with me, Large. On the ones and twos is Ian, guy who does everything for us to make sure this show doesn't look like it is shot on a Brillo pad. I come into just about every piece of content I do here at Barstool by saying, welcome on back. And I just realized that I've never given props to the original Welcome On Back guy, and that's Willie Colon. Willie Colon is the guy who used to say it at the beginning of every Barstool Breakfast episode. Mm-hmm. That's how he came in, Welcome On Back. Willie, so if I'm doing anything for boxing, NASCAR, food, history, it's always Welcome On Back. I've never footnoted you for it at all.
Oh, I appreciate the love.
Yeah.
Didn't Jim Lampley have a thing?
I had Jim Lampley in probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
And he came in and it was an honor. I mean, we're Lampley guys, right? Like, from growing up. Yeah, he's back. I'm friends with him now. He has a mentee. She is a outstanding young woman.
Yep.
And I've never gotten anyone hired or fired here at Barstool, but she's one that I would say we should probably hire this girl. Very, very astute as far as sports goes. Beautiful girl as well, which always helps and stuff. But I was talking to him. I was calling him like Mr. Lampley. He brought his wife in. That guy is as sharp as a fucking tack, remembers every punch thrown in every fight that he's ever covered, and he's just wonderful. He started talking to me, and I said something back to him, and he did one of these. Okay, I know who I'm talking to now. Gotcha. Boxing.
Gotcha.
Because he gets so many interviews with people who, just have to read up on him, and I was honored. Like, I was like, oh, shit, I know boxing. Like, like I might have said, defensively, he kind of reminds me of Sweet Pea. He's like, oh, Pernell Whitaker, boxing, like something like that. Right. Yeah. Also, another reason why I cover boxing here at Barstool is when we first started with Barstool Breakfast, we used to have boxers come in all the time. Nobody wanted them. So I had asked Willie, because it was your show. I said, can we get some of these?
Show.
Willie, when I came on, it was your fucking, please, you're going to make me fucking angry in my own fucking show. Get out. So it was Willie's show. So I was like, can we have these guys on? At the beginning, it became our show. I definitely agree with you. Might even been mine. But you were like, yeah, let's have them on, because you were always a boxing fan too.
Yeah.
And then that's led to, with all the DAZN stuff and all that, and my close personal relationship with Canelo Alvarez. So
which
anyway,
awesome.
Listen, so we have a special guest on today's You Gotta Try This. So I've had so many people on here, and I say that I'm very close friends with most of the guys that I have on here. And it's true for the most part. I love Willie Colon. So he's played in 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. He finished his career with the New York Jets, which was a homecoming for him because he was born and raised in the Bronx. He's also an accomplished Spanish trumpet player. He's William Aloysius Colon. He's one of my best friends. Honest to God, he's like a brother to me, lives about a mile from my house. He's arguably one of the most generous people that I've ever met. If you're looking at the 2 of the most generous people I've ever met, it's Willie Colon and it's fucking Stu Finer.
Stu, 100% Stu.
Yeah, and
Stu.
You talk about a dream blunt rotation. Willie Colon, Stu Finer. I don't know who, or a dream foursome. Might be definitely not Stu. I don't want to be on a fucking golf course.
Still get us kicked off.
Yeah, but it's Willie Colon. He's going to be on for this whole episode of You Gotta Try This. And this episode is brought to you by Pepsi. Pepsi and I have a symbiotic relationship. I like them and they like me. So when we were out doing some food reviews and the food reviews continue to rip, I appreciate everybody who watches them and I appreciate Ian for putting them together so deftly. I had said something like, it just makes food taste better. And I honestly believe that. So they have a slogan that food deserves Pepsi. I like that slogan. Like, I think when I like something so much, this deserves this. At one point, I liked my wife so much, I said, you know what? She deserves to be with me for the rest of her life because I'm the real deal. Annie deserves me just like food deserves Pepsi. So I really appreciate Pepsi. I'm rocking the Pepsi Zero Sugar because my body is a temple, but they got a ton of different flavors. I was just out in Chicago doing some stuff with Chef Donnie. He's been, I think, looking at some of the probiotic stuff they put up. So Pepsi runs the gamut of everything. I'm in love with the Pepsi Zero. I'm a Pepsi guy, womb to the tomb. I think you guys should be also. Food deserves Pepsi. Next time you're out, ask for it by name or hit it in any local bodega that you find in and around the city.
I grew up drinking Pepsi.
Your mom was a Pepsi person.
Can I tell a quick Pepsi story?
Please tell a good Pepsi. Oh, please don't blow up my spot though.
No,
right?
I'm not going to mess with the bag, but it does involve a little violence.
Okay.
So my mother had one rule in her house: don't drink her Pepsi. And then this is a family story, so this is not just me kind of coming off the cuff. Me and my brothers were both rebellious kids. Obviously, I led the pack. So my mom had one rule: don't drink her Pepsi. And so one night, I'm like, I'm drinking this goddamn Pepsi. Drank the Pepsi. So she, at the end of the night, that was kind of like her nightcap. She would love to go to bed with cold Pepsi. So I had drank at least 2. And I didn't do a good job of get rid of the canned Pepsi, because I know she would check the trash to see who drank it.
Right.
So if you know the old projects, we used to have bars in our windows.
Yes.
Right. So I try to stuff it, I try to stuff the can through the bar. Right. And it got stuck. Right. So I go to bed thinking I'm in the clear. My mom is kind of doing her 1-2, like most moms, clean up the house before after everybody goes to bed. She looks out the window and there's a stuck canned Pepsi in the window, right? So she wakes me and my brother up. She goes, "This is what's going to happen right now. You 2 idiots are going to get me a cold Pepsi right now." It's 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. Gunshots have already rang out in my projects, right? We run out the house, no BS. We run out the house. We're crying because she was like, "We don't want to go. You're trying, all this nonsense outside." She goes, "I don't care." Me and my brother hightail it. I don't think we ran that fast. We're like 6 or 7 years old. Hightail it to the local bodega, get her the canned Pepsi, haul it all the way back. She's waiting for us downstairs in a trench coat. She's like, "Where's my Pepsi?" We're like, "Here, it's right here." We like, obviously, we're like, "You're being so mad."
Right.
She said she cried the whole time. She said, she thought, "I just sent
my sons out to their death for an ice cold Pepsi."
Right. So that's the story.
I will tell you that similarly, I kept a couple in the fridge just because sometimes, even if this is weird, but Irish people have, and I believe it's the same thing. Willie's half black, half Puerto Rican.
Right.
I'm half Irish, half black. So it's the whole deal. So I'm all Irish. And so these home remedies, because our generation had them that were a little bit different from the generation that was before us. And I lump Willie into my generation just because, even though I am much older than Willie, I have him. He's got an older soul and I have a little bit of a younger thing. And we did grow up around the same time in New York City. So we just have a shared kind of experience, but I'm not saying that he's as old as me, but for some reason, sort of like kind of, if I have an upset stomach in general. So I had a couple of Pepsis in the fridge and I knew that I was going to have like a tough night. So I wanted to have a Pepsi before I went to bed. It wasn't there. I get on a text message to the Core 5. I say, "Somebody took it." I'm telling you right now, if nobody owns up to this, there's going to be some problems. Like, honestly, I'm going to start moving some furniture and nothing back. And the boys were upstairs, Mick and Finn. All of a sudden, after something, I took it. Mick.
Oh, wow.
He comes up. And I said, "All right, I appreciate that you, admitted to it. Go out to the projects, give me another." And he hits me on a side one. "No, you drank it the other night. You had 2 in the fridge. You came home from like a business meal."
Oh, wow.
And I had too many in me and I drank it myself. So it was a total mistake. I had drank it. And now the kids. So now my 2 boys were upstairs. They both know that they didn't do it. And one of them decided to jump on the grenade. So the rest of so it was a huge learning moment in my family. And it all started around Pepsi.
Let you know who's the real one of the group.
Yeah. And I think Finn was like, "Do you want me to do a mix?" Like, "I'll do the older brother." You know what I mean? So he jumped on it. So yeah. So
I love how Mix turns into a martyr.
Yeah, exactly. Come after me. So Willie grew up in the Bronx. I had a T there. And he went to Hofstra for college. Were you Christ the King? No. Where were we?
Cardinal Hayes.
Cardinal Hayes. I'm sorry. I was, I was talking Christ the King with Rico's dad. Cardinal Hayes, Hofstra, Steelers, Jets. Then he was at Barstool. Most importantly, he was at Barstool with me doing a morning radio show that he was doing with Francis and another young lady. That young lady had left, Julie Stewart Banks. So it was just Willie and Francis doing it for the longest time. They had no days off when Julie had left. And it was a daily morning show. Yeah. And so they were the only ones who were in here at 6 a.m. And after about a year or so of it, just keeping the show together, when you lose one thing, like nobody can leave, right? They decided that they were each going to go on a vacation. So Willie was going on a vacation. Francis brought me on for like 1 or 2 episodes. He had a couple of his comedian friends cancel. So I wound up doing maybe 5 or 6 of the 10 episodes while Willie was on vacation. And then when Willie came back, Francis said that he was going to take some vacation, but he really enjoyed the time that he had with me on it. So if you want to give him a shot to do it with you, I think it'd be a good idea, because otherwise you also had an in with a couple of, the reason I met Andrew Schultz was through you.
Yes.
The reason
I met Schultz through Francis.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you had that, remember Karen Fian?
Karen.
She made $1 million on OnlyFans showing her ass, by the way.
Yeah, she's been promoting that.
She's been doing some shit.
She's been throwing that ass
She's been keeping it out there. Good for her. God bless her. Yeah. But like all these people, I think that you would have had lined up, as well as people from your past.
Not to cut you off, we've interviewed a lot of like A-list comedians with
crazy,
like who are considered A. I mean, Ricky Chan, who's on Crazy Rich Asians. We had him on. We had Andrew Schultz, was like he would be on a couple times. You talking about Karen?
Yeah.
Who else? There was
a weird dude that you brought on.
Yes, he's actually did. His name is damn. He had glasses.
No, I'm thinking Rude Jude.
Oh, Jude was my guy.
That was your guy.
That was my guy.
He was different, and we had him on. We had a very good time with them.
I love Jude.
But I
lost track of him, by the way.
Yeah, we had. God, I wish I would have wrote all the people down that we had on. We had some
serious.
We had like Jim Norton. We've had a bunch of those guys that would be recognizable names, but guys that weren't as recognizable then, who are huge now. Even like part of that whole Joe Rogan.
Ricky Velez. We had Ricky Velez on.
We had everybody that we wanted to. So Willie's like, yeah, I'll have Large on. I tell the story all the time. I come in, the show starts at 7:00 in the morning. I'm going in. I've only been at the firm for maybe a month or two. So I didn't cross paths with Willie because he had a radio show at 7 that got done at 9. Unless he was doing other content, he was normally gone by midday. I would come in sometime between maybe around 10 o'clock. I would kind of blog and I would leave late. So we just did 2 ships passing in the night. The first day I get here, 7:00 show, I get here at 6, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Willie comes in at 6:30 as usual, sits down. Hey, Willie, I'm Large. I'm going to be doing this thing with you. It's the first time I ever fucking met him. A bet, he said to me, bet. I was like, bet on what? I don't know this fucking slang, jerk. I said, cool. I go back to my seat. I Google, what does bet mean? Bet means okay. So I get ready to do it. We sit down in front of the thing. I'm telling you, nothing. He gives me fucking nothing. We sit down, we put on the cans, we're sitting down in the studio. It's Patty, who I kind of know, Za, Jetski, great crew.
I miss those guys.
Yeah, 6:59. Any topics you want to talk about, Willie? Any like ground rules or anything like that? No. We're just gonna freestyle something. I was like, honestly, I don't think this guy wants me here. And then he turned on the fucking cans. Welcome back, Barstool Breakfast. I have this guy here, Large, and it's just because he's not a fucking morning person. I mean, that has to be it. And then we had like a very, very good first show, where it winds up that, you know, we couldn't look less alike. But every time we would bring up a story, you know, like, I'd be like, and I remember when my high school was playing Power Memorial or something. There was always something. School boys. Yeah, it was always something about the city that stuck. So then that's when Barstool Breakfast, and I get it all the time. If any piece of content I ever made was as popular as Barstool Breakfast, I can't find it. I can't find it. I'm 50 some odd years old. I've been working since I was 12. I will never have a job like I had doing Barstool Breakfast for a couple hours a day with you. It's the fucking best, right?
I mean, I concur everything you said. What's wild about it, I think, and I think I said this the last time I was on with you, and I can see it now, and I recognize it now. My time at Barstool was important for me. It was, you know, this by God's grace, because I had just left the field. So I was very much grieving off, still wanting to go back to the NFL. There was times where, I mean, I was just like, man, none of this makes sense. I just want to put on my helmet and go back to work. You know what I mean? So you, the crew, the content and how we were rolling, man, allowed me to feel relevant and also kind of go through that grieving. And we boozed, which helps. So we boozed our ass off, which helped a lot.
It's the first time I ever went out with Willie. It was before a party. He's in a suit, and I'm also dressed very well. But you were in a suit because I think you had come from...
came off air.
Maybe LFSNY or something like that.
Yeah.
So he was much better dressed than me. We met at a place in Manhattan. I don't know the name of it, but it was like sort of a seafood place. One of those open air type stuff. The whole thing was all floor to ceiling windows and whatnot. I get there. We each order martinis. We're drinking vodka martinis because we're going to have more than one. And Whitley sometimes, do you want it dirty? I'll do it dirty. Also, can you add a little hot sauce? I was like, what the fuck am I doing with this guy? And then he says to the waiter, and then it's just me and Willie because we're about to go to a Barstool party. And so we decided to go over together. And he goes to the waiter, can I also get 2 dozen oysters? I said, okay, cool. We'll do some martinis and oysters. And then he turns to me. He's like, you want anything? I was like, oh, with the 2 dozen, I'll just do like 6. I was like, I'll do, at first I was going to say, and that's where it gets difficult because I got to be a man. So 3 or 4 is like what a date would do. I was like, no, I'll do like 6 of those. That should be plenty. He was like, all right, then we'll do 4 dozen. I was like, oh man. And then the martini, gone. He snorted a martini, erased it. I think he ate the toothpick off the olive. And I was like, I'm in fucking trouble. So I do 4 or 5 martinis. And my rule is 1 martini, 2 martinis, 3 martinis, floor. 4 martinis is probably it for me. So I'm on like my 4th or 5th martini. Willie's on his 8th. Like I'm just trying to keep up. We have to walk to the fucking place. Both of us release all the alcohol that's in our system.
Right.
This motherfucker looked like he swam to the party.
Came in that bitch wet.
Yeah. And then I don't know. We've been good friends ever since. When you say that you started here and it's like, I just want to put on my helmet and go to work, that made me think, because you've been an athlete since the womb.
Yeah.
Is it one of those things where you never had a real job that would be considered a real job, quote unquote, because people think that the NFL isn't a real job.
Sure.
Meanwhile, you worked harder than anybody in their life. You know, certainly physically to do that thing. Have you ever had a real job before you had left the NFL?
Yeah. So the 2 jobs I had, my first summer job, I worked at the 125th Street Market across from Apollo.
Okay.
Upstairs, there was a vegan kitchen. I
didn't know this.
Yeah. Upstairs, because downstairs was all like flea market type shit going downstairs. And upstairs was like the food. And I worked in the first kitchen, but that first kitchen was a vegan restaurant. Like vegetarian vegan.
Yeah.
Ran by this mean ass old lady. This, like old black lady who was mean as dog. Like she was tough. And her grandson was the manager, and his friend was like the cook. And I was working, and she used me like a mule. Like I did everything. I would literally, I was in summer school, so I went to summer school, took the bus to Harlem, from work till about 5 or 6, and then I used to hoop at night.
But did you eat vegan food? Not on purpose, but whenever one of my first jobs was delivering Chinese food, and I got sick of Chinese food because I would just bring it home every night. Mm-hmm. Was it one of those things where you dipped your toe in?
I didn't even know what vegan food was.
Okay,
from my culture, it was all beef, pork, and whatever. So that's what I was used to eating. Nevertheless, so that was my summer. And my brother worked 2 blocks down the road at an African Mart too, where they was like, so my brother goes, we had come home from a day. I'm like, what did you have for lunch? He goes, bro, I was eating with these, I'm be sensitive to the word, but he's like, I was eating with these people. They all had a big ass pot of rice, white rice. They all sat around the rice, and they were grabbing it with their hands, making balls and eating it.
Right.
And he goes, bro, I ain't never seen no shit like that. He said after that, these dudes were like, go clean. Like they were like the maintenance. So they were all doing stuff. And so back to me, as far as doing my job, like this lady would take me to the supermarket, and you know how like sometimes you go to the vegetable stand, if the produce is about to go old, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
That's all she would buy. So she would get like peppers and tomatoes and melons, and she would look at it to see if it was almost like a day away from spoiled, and then she would grab it. So one time she's getting all this produce and all this stuff, and the girl at the register goes, ma'am, because she was an older woman, but she was mean as shit. She goes, ma'am, this is about to go bad. If you want to go back and get some fresh stuff, I totally understand. He's like, she's pointing out, he'd stay and watch your stuff. This lady turned around and told the cashier, mind your motherfucking business.
Right. Yeah, tough.
And I remember looking at this lady like, oh my God. And she was just like, mind your motherfucking business and ring this shit up. And I walked with 10 bags on each arm, walking through the heat of Harlem.
Right.
Climbing up these long stairs, and I had to like restock the fridge and do all the stuff. There was mice droppings all over the place. It was a crazy place. But that was my first job. And then my second job was bouncing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, that honestly, if you had to tell me what were your first two jobs, and you put 6 in front of me, and one of them vegan restaurant, I wouldn't have checked that box. But I will tell you that here in the United States, we don't eat food that is anywhere past its peak. I like ripe stuff. Like I find myself buying a lot of stuff in the supermarket, and leaving it in my fridge until the tomatoes get super ripe, almost where I'm putting my finger through the skin of it, because that's how I like it.
Right.
You know, if you're buying brown, you don't have to buy fresh bananas. You can buy brown or bananas if you're making banana bread. It's just the way that it is. You know what I mean? And I was in a supermarket this weekend buying avocados, and I was going to use them that night, and I couldn't find one that was any softer than a fucking hardball. You know, it's always like, take it home, give it a couple of days. So I think we as a society, what we throw out, there are a lot of restaurants that could probably survive just on what we throw out. You know, like repurposing stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't know. We're going to try and stick with food as a topic, but Ian, maybe you have to keep us tight with this. Maybe we'll develop some sort of hand signal. We're going to go off the food topic back and forth. So, but I am going to try to stay true to stuff that you put in your mouth with. You got to try this with Willie. So along those lines, what was the first time you made love to a woman, and how did you do? Like from a scale of 1 to 10. So I have offensive linemen on here a lot. I'm realizing that. We had Mangold on when we did the Grater's Ice Cream collabo with Skyline Chili. Then we had hired this guy, Mike Kadick, who is at Indiana for 6 seasons. He was an offensive lineman. He just graduated, I guess, like a year or two ago. And then I had T-Bob. T-Bob was an offensive lineman also. T-Bob Hebert, because he's also works in our Chicago office. He played at LSU.
Oh, nice.
His dad was Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, who was quarterback for the Saints for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And I find that the reason that I have offensive linemen on, even if I didn't know you as a friend, is because I feel like you guys are the most fun to talk about.
Smartest by far in the room. We try to tell people we are the smartest on the team.
Yeah. Easiest to talk to, smartest, and the fattest. So what I like is just to know, what was the heaviest that you've ever been while you were playing? You were 6'3", 6'3", between going to college and getting into the pros. I spoke to Kadick about like going to high school, coming into college, and that transformation of his body. He never made it to the next level, obviously. Mm-hmm. So you coming into high school, what did you do to your body to become a college offensive lineman? And then what did you do coming out of college to become a pro offensive lineman?
Right. So my senior year of high school, I was 290. And then when I got to Hofstra, my first 2 years, I hovered around 330, 320. That's just from eating and lifting. I just kind of bulked up. Did
you bulk up unhealthily? Because what year was this?
Yeah, because I couldn't afford good food.
Okay.
So I was eating Checkers and all this shit.
Right.
But I was still working out.
Yeah.
So I just bulked up in that. And then when I got to the league, I played around 340. The biggest I was in my career was my last year with the Jets. I got up to 365, 320,
365.
Yeah.
After that, what was your heaviest when you then retired?
Oh, shit, 405.
And then now you're back down to around your playing weight, kind of?
Yeah, I'm like 345 now.
You had told me there's 2 ways that it goes for offensive linemen when they retire.
They either cut you out of the house or you walk out of the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've seen the fucking footage of having to take out window frames where they bring that gigantic fat guy out on a forklift to bring him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I used Chris Snee as an example. He was the guy from the Giants. I think he was banging Coach Coughlin's daughter, wound up getting married to her. He drafted him out of like Boston College. Interesting backstory. Although
Hell of a ball player.
Yeah. But I just say bang Coach Coughlin's whatever. But when I was at the beach club with me, he was thinner than most of the guys there. Perfect shape.
Yeah.
But he immediately went that way. I'm lucky enough because you have a bunch of friends in the league that I've met, and you meet a guy like Brick.
Yeah.
I don't think Brick has ever been fat, right?
No, he actually had trouble putting on weight.
Okay.
Throughout his whole career. I don't know if you know, Brick at an early age had a heart issue.
DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer for the New York Jets. He had a heart issue, and they cut him. He has a zipper.
Does he?
Yep. He has a big zipper from here to here, down the middle of his chest, and he wasn't supposed to play football. He willed himself to play because, they told him, like, listen, with your heart condition, we don't think it's smart. He willed himself to play, got the okay from mom and dad, and off and run to DeBrickashaw Ferguson. With that said, I know throughout his career, he was the guy that used to have the shakes and the smoothies after practice to keep weight on.
Keep bulk up.
Yeah. Now, me and Mangold we were both hefty, big barrel, big back guys. So, so we were always, I know me more than ever had to always watch my weight.
I always judge people, and I've used this term a lot to see how strong they are. Like my father and my brothers are thick wrists. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They've always and we talked about this in the car ride on the way here. I sat down with fights. fights as a thick wrist.
Yep.
Like that's what he is. It just seems like one of those guys who works with their hands. I could wear a watch that my 15-year-old daughter wore, so I'm not a thick-wristed guy.
Yeah.
Did you find that genetically, because your dad wasn't as big as you?
No,
he stretch imagination.
He was lean. You know, he had that Caribbean shape. You ever seen like Caribbean men?
Yes, yeah.
They had that lean, muscular build. That's how he was built. He was tall like you. I get my width and size from my mother's side. That's more the countryside.
Right.
More square body, big legs, big butt, big calves type people.
So then when they go and bring you to a combine coming out of Hofstra and you have to go through the whole thing, how many bench presses, the 40, did you have to do the jump thing?
I wasn't invited to the combine. I did a pro day and I did all my measurements at the pro day. But I visited with roughly like 20 something teams going into the draft where I kind of had to do all that stuff. Cause I was, Hofstra was a little bit of a hotbed because me, Marcus Colston, a couple other guys who were all, projected to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, I think Marcus was the only one because they had him drafted like a first day guy. I was considered a second day guy.
Okay. And what do they do? They go around with calipers and say, look at the fucking size. No, it's just the generic
stuff. Height, weight, vertical jump, you do your 10, you do your 40, and all that stuff. It was pretty generic.
As at 6'3", you consider an undersized offensive lineman?
Well, they have me projected to play inside, like right guard, either center or left guard. I actually played tackle in college, so they kept me at right tackle, and I was able to hold my own. It's interesting. I just came back from Pittsburgh Steelers camp when I was doing some stuff with the front office and kind of learning how the sausage was made and how they view players and how they go about their draft process. And there's a science to everything. They look at everything. It's a fine tooth comb how they go through this process.
Right.
And you don't realize, man, that you normally see a big guy like, oh, this guy, he's got to be, because of his size alone, he's got to be made for the league. And there's things they look at that can tell if the guy has longevity or not. And things that the average eye wouldn't pop out, so I wouldn't see. So it's interesting, yeah.
If they run me through there, what are they coming up with?
Long snapper.
Long snapper, which is crazy because that was my wife's nickname in college. Oh, shit, Willie, that's where we're going to go on this. So as a Jet fan, Ian, growing up, is it special for you to all of a sudden have like Jets sit in this chair, or is it equally as special for you when you have like NFL guys or whatever part of his resume is the most impressive? Perhaps the Super Bowl ring. You didn't bring the ring. Super Bowl ring guy or something like that. Well,
he always asks.
I love the fucking ring.
I hate showing the ring.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I wear, this is how much of a bitch, this is how much of a thin wrist bitch I am. I was in the back of your fucking yard. I think I brought the flamethrower and some fucking fireworks. Right. I'm going to try to curse less. I wonder if we look back on this episode, if I talk a little bit more urban around you than I do. I wonder if I do. Like I had Michael Ferraro on.
No, so listen,
a good friend of ours.
You don't talk urban, but you talk New York.
I do have it. Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
I know.
Shit.
Yeah,
like,
you talk like your New York comes out of you more.
A little bit more.
But you don't go like you don't drop.
I don't drop them, do I? By the way, do I have? I can't still, right? I keep asking you. No.
I wouldn't do it.
What if I'm on my deathbed and you're the last person to come in the room? Can I be like, by the way, you've always been very special to me, and then you'll be like, do it. And that's my last words as I drift off into sleep. Imagine that shit.
I would just close the door.
Exactly. Put the pillow over my fucking head. I don't know. I think it just.
Your New York side. That's what I love being around you most because a lot of the men that I grew up who were of the Caucasian descent, you remind me of. Just like they just there's a street awareness. There's a real sense of like they know who they are, they know who you are. So you can meet on the same base rather than being like, oh, you from here? No, not me. It's not. You don't ever give up that.
But we're also first generation New Yorkers as far as I'm concerned. Like your dad, even though you'd consider your mom and dad New Yorkers, I think they had such like an influence from their upbringing, right? That they weren't necessarily that and New Yorkers didn't have like a cookie cutter thing back then because it truly was a fucking melting pot as it is now. Mm-hmm. But then it was our generation, again, I know I'm older than Willie, that then became cemented into like New York. And we started to only have our experiences from being like, oh, what about that place in the Upper East Side? I don't go to the Upper East Side. Yeah. Like, like that whole thing. And that's what makes New York special.
Well, I'll say this. There's in the black culture, anytime you have a white friend that you really love and like, you say he's invited to the barbecue, right? They'll use that. I never felt like you weren't. I always felt like you were invited to the barbecue, but I also felt like I can take you anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we can sit at any table.
I'll
and
tell you what, though, you have told me on a couple of places, Large, dial it back, right? Like, because you go to his barbecues, like you say, invited to the barbecue.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your barbecues right now because this is a food fucking show. This asshole, and that's as I don't know, friendly of an asshole as I can call him. His barbecues, man, were off the chain. His house is not too far from mine, except in price. Very far from mine in price. So he's got this gigantic. Well, you
backyard. Downsized. So
I did. Yeah, the old place was great.
Largest old house was awesome.
It was. Thank you. So Willie backs up to a river, and he has this very vast like lawn, backyard, 2-tiered. A lot of it's not used as you go further away from the house, but it's the perfect place for like a giant blowout. Yes. Like, whereas I used to like rent out fields or something like that, you had it. So you used to have the teepee out there in the corner, which was, and then he'd have this station where someone was just roasting a goat. Then you'd have this station where someone was doing like maybe oxtails or something.
Yeah, we had it all. Yeah.
Then you'd have like a Frogmore stew thing where they just like dump out all this crawfish and stuff, like these boils on it. This cigar station, it would be sponsored by a booze brand for some fucking reason. So you'd be doing shots out of these ice flows. I'm telling you, the food at the Colon, wasn't it, what would you call it? Barbecue? Cookout?
Everything had a theme.
Whatever it is. And by the way, they would throw these food orgies for just like the most useless fucking holidays. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know what these fucking milestones were, but I was like, what are you turning today? He's like, 37. What the fuck does 37 mean? Do you know what I mean? Like I turned half 150 a couple of years ago. I had nothing. And then conversely, you become a friend of Willie's. And he'd be like, by the way, your 50th is coming up. Where are we going?
Let's do it.
Yeah, he's like, wait, he's like, I got the guy, the private jet guy. And then, we get to the other thing. I know a grass hut guy. And then when we get here, I know. So Willie has always done stuff. And I can't think of another way to say it, but absolutely first class. So when I got there, I was already overwhelmed by just the food. The food was fucking overwhelming. His family is very, very tight. He's very, very, very tight family. And, they don't all like each other, but they pretend to in front of guests, which I think is the mark of a true family.
100%.
Right? 100%. And I grew up in a lace curtain Irish family. We had a lot of shit going on, but from the outside, all you could see was the fucking lace curtains. And Willie had the Puerto Rican lace curtains. I had the Irish lace curtains.
Right.
Blacks don't have lace curtains.
The saints behind the curtains.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking saints.
So you go in there and you immediately felt like part of the family without feeling like you brought a mascot. Hey, this is my white friend. Somebody say hello to him. So I was hanging out with Hot Dog. He used to be a fucking background dancer for like Heavy D or something. Chub Rock. Yeah.
Chub Rock.
I still talk to Hot Dog. I got his fucking number. I called him up the other day. I was like, Video Music Box is doing something. And I will tell you right now, it's priceless. Yep. It's priceless. And then on the way out, they always have a blowout thing for the kids too. Mm-hmm. Like the kids were always taken care of. There was always a dance floor. DJ, I call him
DJ Rob De Niro.
Rob De Niro. I always call him DJ Bobby De Niro. And it fucking, but by the way, if you guys need somebody in New York City to do a party, DJ Bob De Niro kills it. And I've been at cookouts, barbecues, whatever, where he's fucking mixing it up, and it's so hot. The records are
start to melt.
They're starting to melt on the fucking
we handled that problem. We put a cover over it.
Did you? Yeah,
we finally figured it out.
Yeah. So if you think that I have Willie on because he's just a friend of mine, that's certainly part of it. But Willie and I have spilt more top-notch food than most of the people who are listening to this will ever see in their lives. Is that fair to say?
That is. And I do think for a lot of people, so Large taught me how to eat, right? I would eat for either convenience or to show off. Large would be like, no, we're doing I think the first time we ate sushi together. And I ordered
shit.
You know how you go to the hibachi spots and you would be you'd be like the dragon roll or every sushi is named after the town, right?
Yes. Yeah, the Glen Rock roll.
Right. Yeah. So and Large, we was eating sushi and he was just like, you're pretty much ordering a Big Mac right now.
Yeah.
And he shamed me for like 2 days the way I was ordering sushi. So now I eat sushi solely how you eat sushi.
You know what it was, Ian? And by the way, he has the worst palate in the world. Ian, for people who are listening to this, not watching it. Ian, you don't know this, Willie. He's got a 13-year-old palate.
Oh,
It's
so you're a chicken tender and French fry guy?
Yes, he's a Somali fry guy. He eats taco meat, just plain old taco meat, and the bagged shredded cheddar cheese. God forbid he graded himself.
Right? Did you do time?
Yeah, he does. He prisoned. Like I watch Wallow sometimes do stuff, and you can tell he's used to making a hooch in a toilet. This guy did not have that upbringing. Like Wallow and him didn't grow up together, but he does. He does eat like he's been in the yard. But Willie would go to sushi with me, and it was at that point, I think your palate was just younger.
Yeah.
So everything was deep fried, like dipped in tempura and deep fried, and then just squirted with different types of mayos. This Japanese mayo, they're large. No, I get it. Kewpie, I get it. It's got a little sriracha in it. No, I hear you, Willie. The whole deal. Every fucking roll you had, and again, our bodies were not temples.
No.
We had just gotten through fucking eating and drinking like we lost loved ones. But it wasn't until I was like, what's that fish taste like? You're like, I have no fucking clue.
Right.
So now you're like a fish guy. You know what I mean?
I'm all of it. Like I've never had caviar until I met you. Like caviar and the whole situation and how to do a caviar bump and all that. I didn't know none of that, And so I think you've definitely elevated my palate. I think I'm more educated. When I tell people how to eat stuff, they're like, oh, I just never knew. And I'm like, I like to tell that's because of me. And then really back in my head, like if it wasn't for Large, I would have never known.
But that's what made it so fun on Gentlemen's Fridays. When I would come in and you'd be like, oh, by the way, as an NFL player, you had unlimited funds, right? As a Wall Street guy who kind of slept his way to the middle, I didn't, but I had some degree of, money in my pocket at all times before I had kids. And so when we were talking, you'd be like, by the way, I was in Grease Lodge and I can't remember. It was a beer. It was like a blue and white bottle. And it was awesome. And then all of a sudden, I'd get online, I'd source it at something, and I'd bring it in that Friday, and we try to do it with just like Greek meats and cheeses. Mm-hmm. And that was the experience that we had. So like I built off of that, my own palate. And then you and I would sit down
and
while
murder
these millions of people in their fucking cars. And I don't know if I say millions and I'm being, if I'm blown it out of proportion.
You're not. I'm not. I remember even after the show had got his walking papers and I was, moving around New York, people would stop me everywhere and be like, I lived for Gentlemen's Friday.
Yeah.
Solely, mind you, this is me and Large on the mic.
Yeah.
This smacking.
We tried to take turns.
Yes.
And we always had a guest on Friday, usually somebody from Barstool who we would try to introduce stuff to. Like Brianna Chicken Fry, when she, like her first week, I think we had a Gentleman's Friday where it was myself, Willie, Francis, Brianna Chicken Fry, Coach Doug's, Za, Jetski, and Pat, and we got fucking wasted.
Shredded. Like
I remember it was me, Willie, Alex Cooper, and then that girl who fumbled the bag. What was Alex's? Sophia with an F. And we got ahead of ourselves. We wound up having sex with them. Just kidding. Totally kidding. So yeah, just totally kidding. But it was such a good head. And I think the amount of fun that we had and the amount of Large, we're getting away with one.
Yeah.
He was like, I was doing 2 days in the heat, whatever I was doing. And I was like, I was pricing IPOs, not big ones. Like I had blood in my stool and a full fucking head of hair, right? Like we were killing ourselves in our jobs.
No doubt.
And I think that's another thing. I was killing myself on Wall Street. I was killing myself. And you were killing yourself in the NFL, so much so I wouldn't walk down a staircase in front of you because it reminded me of that scene in Indiana Jones when the fucking boulder. Yeah. Like I thought once your knees.
I was walking down.
Cartilage.
No, my knees are bone to bone, but I would walk down the stairs like the evil villain in RoboCop. Remember that?
Yes, exactly.
You stumbled down the stairs. That was me walking down the stairs.
Yeah. But Gentlemen's Friday then became a whole thing of its own. And the show wasn't canceled, obviously. What Willie had said kind of flippantly, when the show was canceled, they did away with the Sirius platform here at Barstool. So all the shows just went away. I think arguably, I don't give myself a lot of credit, except in private. I thought that was the best thing that Barstool Radio had.
Well,
it was the best show.
Well, we've talked about it in passing or together. Like, I think a lot of people who view Barstool from the outside always saw it as kind of for the youth, for that knucklehead college kid. We made adult friendly Barstool. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Where guys could talk. We were both dads, or I was becoming a dad.
Yes.
You were already in the trenches being a dad. We both had wives. We both worked jobs that we didn't love. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So we had enough life experience, I think, for anybody who just wanted to hear an adult conversation but have fun with it. I think we provided that. And I say this a lot. We had the best crew as far as range. I mean, you've talked about it. We had a Zimbabwean midget, right?
Yes.
We had an elitist in Francis, all right?
Yes.
We had a gay guy in Pat who happened to be 6'5".
Yeah.
And we just loved hearing about his, his gay escapades and all that other nonsense. And we also had Jesky, who was like this Long Island hip hop kid, right? We covered all the bases.
We were a Benetton ad.
No question.
There was something for everybody. And if you're sitting, and what all those people kind of had in common is they were driving to work on Friday. So to hear a bunch of regular guys, there was never any Barstool drama in it. Like, let's say Nate was fighting with K Marco or something. We didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't give a fuck about it now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So we were just talking about, so you didn't have to be like.
Large was always the adult. I say this time and I'll be redundant. Large was always the adult in the room because of I walk around with a short wick, like just the way I was born.
Right.
But Large was always like, Willie, that's not us. Move ahead. So I give him a lot of credit for it. And sometimes it killed us, and sometimes I try to listen.
But I think that if you weren't about the Barstool stuff and you just wanted to get to work on time with a smile on your face, to have a bunch of guys, you'd be like, what is that? I'd be like, oh, this one is from south of France today.
Yeah.
And you hear it pop open and we're playing like old school R&B in the background because we were allowed to back then because we were on Sirius and just shooting shit and eating stuff. Man, it was a good gig.
I also think one of the things people appreciated from us doing Gentleman's Friday with having a sommelier or a sommelier, however you pronounce it, or just having a random thing of cheese, or us bringing in. We had Thanksgiving on there one time, which was wild. I think a lot of people just could relate to the experience of eating, and what it meant. Because I think a lot of times it's hard now. I go to restaurants, man, and I can't tell you, and I know you can agree to this, how frustrated it makes me to see kids with iPads sit down and have a family dinner. Mm-hmm. Because I know how you was raised and how I was raised. You only got to know, or you only got intel on the family gossip or issues that mom and dad was dealing with, or just stories from sitting at family dinner. And so when I see these young kids, headphones on, iPads on, and while four or five adults sit at the table and talk around the kids. Meanwhile, these kids are sitting there and they're just focused on these iPads, and they're missing so many lessons. They're missing so many nuances. They're missing the family code, because I think every family has an internal code in which they adhere by. And if the kids are just they miss all that. And you're talking about, we were sitting here talking about your dad, right? And I'm like, I know how much your dad poured into your boys just by sitting down talking, eating mom's chicken. You know what I mean? So many kids miss that, man. And I'm very serious with that in my house. We don't travel with the iPads to the restaurant. I don't care. The biggest thing, my son would tell me, he's like, Dad, I'm bored. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Just figure it out.
Right.
Like, you just got to sit there and deal with it. Because I think there's such a gap you miss. There's so many stories I learned from my dad and mom, stuff that my dad went through, or stuff that she went through, or family went through, that simply by sitting at the kitchen table, just hearing it. And then my dad would be like, this is what you shouldn't do, or this is what you should do. So there's so much intel that these kids just aren't receiving. And then when they get older, damn the social awkwardness. I've learned so much from you, just from your stories about your family.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that, you would just be Large. You would just be, so much of your family makes you, so much of my family. It's a huge
part of my personality.
100%. Yeah. So that's why these kids are so awkward right now. I think they're more business savvy 100%, but that awkwardness, like just having a beer, like, yo, Dad, I know this is your podcast, but Large's story about his father, setting up beams, pretty much making New York. Like I'm enthralled with that, but you don't get that with the iPad on. You don't get that with the headphones on. So
and he worked 80 hours a week. So if we were able to sit down as a family 5 or 6 times a week, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? Like my dad didn't make it to any of, this isn't, he's my hero.
Sure.
And by the way, I say that all the time, just off the cuff, that my dad's my hero.
Yep.
My mom was a fucking stud.
That's
Still is. Like my mom and dad are, I'm extremely blessed. My parents are still with me. So having my dad at a dinner table, I couldn't imagine if there were phones back there, if I would take it out. And listen, I have to talk to my kids about it even now. My kids are 15, 18, and 21. I have to talk to them every now and again. Like, did you just lose your fucking mind?
Yeah.
I just made a big dinner. We're sitting around as a family. What could you possibly be looking at? And they'll be like, well, you looked at your phone. I'll be like, yeah, because it's Ian hit me. And that's part of my job.
Yeah.
Don't ever compare yourself to me. Like, that's where I still get the big piece of chicken. I couldn't agree with you more. We did use it as a babysitter at some point. Like, you know, like the iPads when they first came out, they were good if we needed to, you know, on a long car drive sometimes just to keep them quiet. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all.
Because I want to listen to my music and I don't want to hear Bluey.
Yes, exactly.
So, like,
there's only so many times I can hear the same fucking thing over and over again. I agree with you 100%. But the dinner table in particular, and sometimes the weekend breakfast table, is where I learned to become a McCarthy.
Because even with, like, you know, my wife being from Jackson, Mississippi, a lot of her cuisine is Southern food, right?
Right.
But so much of things like how to make grits, what you put in the grits, what a no-no to grits, right? Or even pancakes. Like, there's the little things that end up on the table have a sense of history and a story behind it. There's always a correct way and there's a not a correct way. But if you miss that as a kid, right?
Yeah.
You're screwed, right? And then for a guy who wants to show off and you don't have a lot of money, one way you can wow a chick is by making her something, right?
Of course.
But if you don't know how to goddamn cook because you spend half of your career with the cans on, you ain't doing nothing unless you got an absolute sleeve in your pants. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that's winning.
And I guess maybe if you're extremely uninteresting and you don't have anything else, then maybe have your kids learn from the TV or if you're one of those people that, you know, don't have it. But if you think that your kids are just going to kind of be yours when they're being raised by somebody on a fucking telephone.
But Large, how many
strangers?
But on just to add to that, how many holidays, whether it's Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, we know there's that one particular aunt or uncle that's going to bring their favorite dish that nobody fucking likes.
Correct.
Right? That's a part of your makeup.
Yeah.
You know,
it's Antonio for your house. Yeah, he's fucking
like it took
Willie's brother's Antonio. Yeah.
It took 4 years for the family to give my sister the okay on making the macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving. Where we would know, like everybody would be design the dish, and Joy would be like, "Oh, I make the macaroni cheese." And a side note, like, "No, that bitch ain't." You know, like don't okay it. Now we're at the point where it's allowed at the table, right?
Ian put a pin in something because I'm going to forget about it. But keep going.
I'm saying that's substance, right? And so when you lose that substance. Because I think every dish has a story. The person that makes it has a story on why that's their dish, right? And then on top of that, when you sit around, you know, if I'm sitting across from my brother and he eats the mac and cheese, I'm like, you know, that little and then on the other side, he's like, oh, you did your thing, right? So those kind of, that minutia, man, is everything to food. And it's everything for food and family.
I wonder if you remember this, but I think you just had your son. So you just had 4. So you're taking them around as an infant on Halloween. And when my kids were trick-or-treating, we did Halloween up pretty big. So we would go around the neighborhood. So I said, oh, Willie, my wife and I and all the kids will be at our friend's house. They were entertaining that year. So it became like a home base. They put out a big thing and like people coming by and all that shit. Not only for like candy, we'd give them like, you know, they had a hot dog roller around, a keg of beer, the whole deal. So you came and you were hanging out. And one of my friends who was hosting had talked to, I think he was a big Jet fan. And you were nice enough to say, well, when I do my Frogmore stew or something, or some party, you're invited. Ian, believe me, I know I'm a white guy. I'm a proud white guy, right?
I'm proud that you're white.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. And when I take my shirt off, I look like a bathtub that's turned upside down. I get that. I got 0 street cred, 0 melanin. This guy's whiter than me, much whiter than me. Little guy. Nice as hell. So Willie said, you know, when Large comes to the next, maybe a fight, like we were watching a fight or something like that, come by. And I said, oh man, I'm not even gonna mention the guy's name. All right, Opie, when you get there, it's gonna be, I'm gonna call him Opie. Everything's gonna be the food. He's like, oh, I'll make my ribs.
Yes.
I said, oh, fuck no. And so Willie now is going, his wife's side is from Mississippi. I don't know if you know the South, but they do good ribs in the South. Right. Willie's, you know, again, he's black and Puerto Rican. Like they do pretty good ribs in that whole fucking thing. And I've been to his house with Chef Leo and Chef Ricky. I know the chefs.
Chef Michael,
Yeah, I ate the goat's eyeballs with Chef Leo. We did the deep fry. Oh, these guys. And so Willie's like, yeah. I said, okay, don't bring to, and he boils them, like whatever. They're not bad. It was the McRib with the fucking bone slid back in, and you're such a good fucking, you were such a good sport about it that I thank you for it, but it was fucking awful. And he brought it, like Willie has a tomahawk station sometimes where they're just grilling tomahawks, right? So what the fuck do you bring to that? So I bring fireworks, flamethrowers, shit like that. I ask,
entertainment.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Can I wear a Super Bowl ring? Can I wear the fur coat? Because it got a little cold at night. We'll smoke a cigar, rip some fucking shit, and it would be. So you were very, very patient with that. I feel the same way when people sometimes come over my house. Hey, come over my house, Willie. I had gotten, I'm doing something. You'd be like, okay, I'll bring a bottle. That's all I want. But if I say, come over to my house, I do my oxtails with the gochujang, and you like the way I do my oxtails, has a Korean flair to it. And so you would bring a bottle. But if somebody was like, oh, really? I'll bring my something. Yeah. I fucking can't stand it. Yeah, I can't stand it. I don't know what it is, and I'm not a hypocrite. I'm ingrateful to that shit.
No, I think you're just you're a food snob. One, which is that it's okay. But I also think you realize it's uncomfortable when you walk by. If we potluck this son of a bitch, right? Yeah, and you're the one guy who got the recipe, brought all the ingredients, did everything to make it to the tea, and here goes the lesser of the dishes, but yours is still there. Yeah. It's an embarrassing feeling, right? So I think
untouched.
You're right. I think that's what you always like, man. I don't want to. It's uncomfortable for me to realize nobody wants your shit.
Yeah. So especially at the end of the night where all of a sudden people are wrapping stuff up. If you get the empty Pyrex back cleaned, that's a good sign. Yes. If you get your Pyrex back with the fucking tinfoil on with all your shit in it,
bad business.
And if you don't learn from that and then don't do it again, that's on you. Ian, let's answer a question. When you guys listen to this podcast, watch it on YouTube, whatever the hell you do, whatever platform, leave a 5-star review. If you leave a 5-star review in the comment section, you can then drop in a question that we'll try to get to on the air. And that's the way that we rob 5-star reviews from people.
Why not?
We got any?
Yeah, this one is from Midwest in Miami. Large, you've been my favorite Barstool personality for years now. This show is...
End of note. Perfect. Done. Next one.
This show is fantastic, and I listen to every episode first thing on Fridays. Probably also listen to Barstool Breakfast, Gentleman Fridays.
Oh, probably, yeah.
The question is, what is the worst you have seen someone treat the wait staff during your days on Wall Street? Or it doesn't have to be on your days on Wall Street.
No, Wall Street, that would be, right? It's not like I ever went to Five Guys and Tommy Smoke said, I want more pickles, right? You know what I mean? It would be probably be Wall Street, No,
but if Willie wants to answer.
Go, Lars.
Do you have anybody who's, I will go first. So one of the guys that I really, I don't know, there was an admiration towards him. I've told the story about him a bunch of times. He was a guy that we used to take to steakhouses in New York, and they would have his reading glasses there. So when they'd come over with the wine list, even though I was paying for it because he was a customer of mine, doesn't matter. There could be 20 people at a table, and they come right around and they give him the wine list. If you sit down at a table with me, if the three of us were sitting down at a table, Ian, who's also 6'5", what are you, 6'3", 6'3", so big guy. Willie, 6'3", me 6'5". If you sat down at a table, I think when somebody went to hand a wine list to one of the three of us at the table, I think it might go to me.
I would hand it to you for sure.
But as a waitress, if she didn't know any better, because I'm kind of the oldest. Right. So I think like maybe I look like I would know the most about wine.
It's the glasses.
There would be 1,000, 20 of us around the table. Wine list went right to this gentleman with a pair of his reading glasses. I always thought that was cool as shit. But one day a girl was pouring for him and she did touch the bulb of the glass. And he did, listen, I don't even know a guy's still alive. So I'm not talking bad about the dead, but it insulted him. So much so that he'd asked for a manager. And he said, I would rather she stand in it than touch the bulb when he was tasting wine. And I was like, wow. And I do. I hold wine glasses by the stem or by the base. Sometimes I start to like touch it. She'd handed it to him just regular, just off it. And she had, she was doing a pour, so she had a couple of things going on. and he eviscerated her to the point where they'd sent somebody else over. I think they opened up, I don't think, they opened up another bottle. I don't know what they did with the other one. I mean, I was like, no, don't go with the other one. Yeah. They opened up a fresh bottle from them. Then they had somebody with the chain with the cup around his neck, the sommelier, come in and kind of do that. And that was a chink in the armor for me.
Yeah.
I want to have my reading glasses in every fucking restaurant in New York City. Still, I do want that. I would never treat anybody like that. I will bust your balls if you pour me a glass of wine and you're holding it on the fucking, whatever on the bulb of the glass. But I found that to be kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had experience or two like that. I just can't remember. I think the worst one that sticks out in my head was not at a restaurant. It was at a fast food restaurant. It was at Chipotle, man. Mm-hmm. And I was standing behind a bunch of, it was like these 3 little douchebags. And they kept, I guess there's a rule in Chipotle that you can keep adding meat and whatever, and they can't deny you. So you just keep wrapping a bigger burrito, and they just wanted to make a big ass burrito. But it was like something that it looked like a food challenge.
Yeah.
And they kept asking the lady, and you could tell they weren't doing it because they were hungry. They wanted to do it solely to see how big the burrito can get.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an asshole.
I think you see that a lot more with people having their phones out. You know what I mean? Like people see what they can get out of them. What do you think about this idea? I know it's been floated around. Who the hell just did it? Like Le'Veon Bell just tweeted. It's somebody else's idea. There was 2 of them that I liked. Chick-fil-A, closed on Sundays, Catholic company, so Christian company, Catholic company, closed on Sundays. What happens if you have a food truck that had found out what a Chick-fil-A does? It's not tough to make Chick-fil-A.
Well, that's how it started.
Yeah, but
Chick-fil-A started with a lady making chicken sandwiches, and then it evolved into Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
So like, let's say now you and I buy a food truck because we have a lot of money.
Yeah.
We go to Chick-fil-A that's popular somewhere. We only go there on Sundays. And that way people who want Chick-fil-A on Sundays can get it from us in the truck. We just ton it one day and we call it Side Chick. That's somebody else's idea. It's not mine.
That's pretty fire.
But when I heard it, I was like, oh, chicken on those biscuit ones. And I'm not a huge Chick-fil-A guy. I'm not carrying the banner for them at all.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea. And then similarly, somebody wants to open up a food truck next to Chipotle. Because Chipotle's, the fall off in Chipotle has been very well documented. I don't go there enough that I know. But like even my son, since he started going to it 5 years ago, Chipotle's gotten a lot stingier with stuff and it isn't as good. Having a food truck in the parking lot that says Old Chipotle and they just give it to you like it was when it first started and it was fucking elite. I kind of like that idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are 2 ways that I think we can make money. You seem like you're against it, maybe.
No, that's just not Le'Veon Bell's idea either.
No, not at all. Yeah. And he sent it to me. And it was, I think it was Le'Veon Bell or something. And I was like, oh, I'd seen that. I was going to steal this person's idea. I'm not going to footnote them now because I don't have it up in front of me. But I thought that was kind of one of those things that I can do. Yeah. You put your money where your mouth is and you decided to open up a restaurant, a bar restaurant.
Yeah, Bricks and Hops, 65 Brooklyn Boulevard. We're doing stuff in our kitchen, so we're down right now. But it was important for me when I got back home to New York. And once I retired, I wanted to kind of have some type of flagship of, what the Bronx resembled. And I just got tired of people saying, if they wanted to have a good night, they had to go to Manhattan. Or if they wanted proper beer and wings, or if they want to watch the game, they had to go to Manhattan. And I was just like, no, we can do that right here. There's, everything we need is right here. And so my goal and our theme was, keeping it, keep it loyal, stay loyal to your soil, which was what we try to do. Try to live by, but I also think it was. I also think it was a matter of us just really just trying to create a home for people in the Bronx.
Yeah,
just kind of like, hey, you don't have to go down to, Bounce, so you don't have to do this other spot to kind of have a wild time. So that was the goal of it.
He opens this place again, Bricks and Hops on Bruckner, and first of all, Willie is a proud Bronx native.
Yes, sir.
I'm from the unsexy side of Brooklyn. I'm a proud South Brooklyn guy. I'm not proud of what's happened closer to there because it does not look like Brooklyn, which is totally fine. I don't care. But my Brooklyn, there's a lot of people who say they're from Brooklyn. They're not from what I consider Brooklyn. Anywho, so we have a certain degree of civic pride. I do nothing about that except go to Brendan and Carr a couple times a month or something like that. Willie's the type of guy who pulls up in a panel truck, like a Ryder panel truck, opens it up, and there's 300 book bags.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody there, a couple people there doing hair. And it's getting kids ready to go back to school. and it's just fucking awesome.
Thank
and
you.
then like same panel truck, whoop, and it's filled with fucking turkeys.
Mm.
And he's going, and you know, he's essentially Black Santa. And so I've always admired that, and I've never had that. I've never done. I give plenty to charity. I'm not embarrassed with what I give to charity. I think it's probably more than the average fella, particularly with Annie. She's more charitable than me, so I have to give it. But the way that you do give back to the community makes that restaurant make so much sense.
Thank you.
And the way that restaurant, it almost killed me, is that we decided to have a Barstool Breakfast meet and greet. And, you know, we planned it maybe a couple of weeks beforehand, but it was right at that precipice where maybe you shouldn't go out for COVID anymore. That was the last time we went out for COVID.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Ian, we posted the pictures, and I think it was the day they shut the city down.
Literally. Like, I think the same week.
Yeah.
Like, literally
and so
the same week. Yeah.
so most people are like, shit, we ain't going. But in retrospect, if you look at when we posted the pictures, we were ground zero fucking.
No question.
We were unvaccinated, unmasked.
We broke all the
drunk as
rules.
lords, dancing a fucking, I don't know, like we had something going
Jeff
on.
Red.
It was fucking awesome. And it was awesome. And that was at Bricks and Hops. And I've been there multiple times since then. So when they're back up and running, I recommend going there to all these other people.
Thank you.
Do you have another question for us, Ian?
Yes, I do. The other question is about menu nicknames.
Okay. Who's it from?
Luke Rath. Loving the show so far. I'm nearly 30 years old, and my brother and I still talk about our favorite sandwich from our childhood. Every time we visited our grandparents on Long Island, we would take the ferry to Port Jefferson. There's a deli there called Seaport, spelled SE-Port. I have been getting one particular sandwich there since I had baby teeth. The sandwich is called the Gasm. It is unbelievably good, but I feel for my little Catholic mother having to watch two of her little boys order 2 Gasms on their way to their grandparents.
That's a lot.
Are you a fan of menu names, or do you prefer a menu to state what the food is? If a fan, what's your favorite menu nickname? I'm guessing he's asking like the nickname for a dish.
This may be hard for you because you've been everywhere. Like, now, especially doing this whole food venture, like you.
As soon as he mentioned it, you would think that I rushed to like figure out what the gasm was.
Yeah.
So I'll answer his question. I don't mind nicknames for dishes, particularly sandwiches, almost always when they're named after people. I like when there's stuff named after people. When I first had a burger named after me at the Ugly American somewhere in Philly, this was years ago. And this is when I was writing Take a Report. I wasn't at Barstool yet. And somebody who was a fan of my writing had named a burger after me. They asked me what I wanted on it, and so it was the large burger. Then somebody named a racehorse after me. They Take a Report or something. The horse won. They gave me that, you know, and they had the picture with the inset picture and all that stuff. I have one that just says Take a Report. The cool shit like that. I've had other dishes named after me after that, and I like that. Oh, the gelato at Arturo's.
Oh,
the large special. Yeah, the gelato at Arturo's. Oh,
delicious.
Fuck. Yeah, so we had the Bailey's gelato. It had like a raspberry ribbon that ran through it, and they would serve it with just a medallion of crispy prosciutto that they do on top. So you crack the prosciutto, it was like glass, into the thing.
It's delicious.
I don't like the corny names. So the gasm, it doesn't. When was the last? Did your 10-year-old daughter have her first gasm yet? Like, I would never want to do that. Neither of us have 10-year-old daughters, so I feel comfortable with that.
Yep.
I would never want that. I don't say, you know, I took Annie out when we first started going out, and we were up in New Jersey, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't been to a Friendly's. Let's go get some ice cream. And I had to order a Fribble because it looked good. And I just felt like less of a man because I was trying to get those cheeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to say Fribble. I don't like those fucking names.
You make a good. Can I
go,
stop you for a
please?
second?
You jump in.
Yo, so for all you young guys out there, what you order will determine if you're going to get the cheeks or not.
You're damn right. Yeah.
So let's be very clear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, if you're ordering like, I don't know, the Scooby-Doo lasagna,
exactly.
you're not winning, bro.
Right.
The woman wants you to order the T-bone steak with the taters and a goddamn veg or something on the side, right?
Right.
There's something, a masculine man, you can learn who's masculine and who's not through what they order.
And the same way, you don't want a 10-year-old girl who's, 70 pounds soaking wet necessarily ordering the, Conan the Barbarian, right? Like,
Right.
I think if you have some universality with the nickname, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Like the guys at Talercio's do a pretty good job with naming theirs, like all these different things. I don't like first of all, I don't like the name, I don't like having a gasm in my mouth at all. I don't want to tell people that, but I will tell you,
It's kind of like smoking marijuana for the first time. It's like a gateway drug. Like,
exactly. I did a tour of a tour of Brooklyn as a sandwich of the month a couple of months ago, where I did I took 2 pieces of L&B Spumoni Garden squares, and I used them as a bread. And inside of it, I'd gotten some rare roast beef from my butcher. I'd gotten some fresh mozzarella from Leone's, which is a place in Brooklyn. And then I got the motor oil from John's Roast Beef in Brooklyn. And the motor oil is this deep, deep gravy that you dip the thing in. And it's almost like you take your sandwich and you put it in blackface. That's how dark this motor oil is. You can't see it. And it's absolutely delicious. Leone's, where I got the mozzarella from, they name all their sandwiches after Italian guys. And I love it. So you go there and I'll have 2 Joe DiMaggio's, 1 Charlutz de Salvo.
That's how Pittsburgh is.
That is universally cool.
Yeah.
Give me the Louis Prima, right? And the Gina Lollobrigida. And you know what I'm saying? I'll throw in a Dean Martin and I'll have, a side of Frank Sinatra. I like that. Yeah. I like that when nicknames for food is like cultural icons. So I will have a Babe Ruth burger, up in the Bronx or some bullshit like that. I don't mind that at all, but you won't catch me with a gasm in my mouth, except for that 6 weeks I kind of went on that side.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is like that. You'll have a lot of Steeler greats. Like, you have the Roethlisberger or the Mean Joe Green or the Franco Harris or the Star Joe or the goddamn Clemente. It'll be a Cubano, even though he's Puerto Rican. Like, it's just like,
I will tell you though.
Shout out to Meatheads, Bob. Meatheads is a cheesesteak spot we were talking about in South Jersey. It's close to Trenton. And I'm not a cheesesteak snob. I've been to Tony Luke's. I was a big Tony Luke's guy for a while. But Meatheads. So shout out to Meatheads, the brothers. I love them.
You like them?
Yeah.
So I got to get down there, obviously, to do it. While we're down there, I'd like to do Donkey's Place. If we're ever in South Jersey together, we can go into Camden and at Donkey's Place. But I'll definitely do Meatheads. And that's their cue to start sending me shit.
Oh, I'll
to mention on the thing.
Yeah, I'll make it happen.
My only problem is that sometimes if I really like, particularly at Leone's, if I really like an Italian guy, I want to order the Arturo Gatti because I love Arturo Gatti. And the Gotti Ward trilogy, if you're not a fight fan and you're going to watch 3 fights only for your whole life, watch Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward.
I don't mean to blow Large for a second, but I'm going to. Large has an insanely great intuition and knack for becoming hip to hip with the head chef.
Yeah.
To the point where I've seen people open up their kitchens solely to a stranger, right?
Yeah.
Like, damn the complexion, right? Like, he just knows how to get in there and make, because if you've been in, Large can attest to this too, like most chefs or people who run restaurants or kitchens, man, they don't allow the outside from a media, like outside of promoting what they want to show as far as a dish, outside of that, they don't really let you in and show you how a sauce is made or how what's stored and the reason why it's stored. They don't, like, I've seen people just fold over for this dude to the point of like, man, I don't know. This is my brother. I don't know if I'm comfortable with letting him know how my Tostones cheeseburgers are made, right? Yes. Because not to say he would steal it, but you do have a knack when you step into the kitchen, like you light up and the chef lights up when they see you.
That's why I was so hoping that Beats and Eats would have took off.
Yeah.
Because you and I spoke about it with Ferraro the other day.
Okay.
Again, let me get out this one thing.
Go.
I want to eat a Arturo Gatti because I love Arturo Gatti. Rest in peace. The Arturo Gatti is grilled chicken. Nope. Smoked mozzarella. I'm not a smoked mozzarella guy as much as I am fresh mozzarella. With American cheese served warm. That doesn't sound that good to me. That has nothing to do with. So that's the only time that I get a little bit weird. Whereas the Charlutz de Salvo, chicken cutlet, Italian sausage, I just drooled into my own fucking hand. Melted American cheese and brown gravy. That doesn't seem like it works. Holy shit, does it work? I'm looking. They have one where they just fry meatballs, no sauce, on a Hero or Italian bread. Fried meatballs, no sauce. Shredded iceberg lettuce, no nutritional value. Tiny bit of olive oil, a ton of red wine vinegar. That's it. fried meatballs, lettuce, and vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
I would smack my fucking daughter in the mouth if somebody was to deliver one of those. And I can't remember. And that's the whole bad thing about this. Is it the Al Martino, Pat Cooper, Dom DeLuise, Leonardo Donamici, Sylvester? I can't fucking find it now on this thing. So I don't know. But to your point, I don't mind going into kitchens, particularly clean kitchens. Ian's gotten to see this a couple of times, particularly a couple of weeks ago. We did that with Mike Puma. So that's going to drop the...
Puma's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Handsome dude.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking,
yep.
Maybe get a gasm from him.
Right.
We went to, and he let us in right away. And I got to be on the grill doing the smash burgers. Listen, it's not haute cuisine or whatever, but here's what it is. We went to the dry age place at Rocco's Steakhouse. And the guy felt very comfortable with me in the kitchen because I kind of know my way around it. So when you and I, what are you saying?
I was gonna say I've seen this firsthand. He has a casual way of like dropping like a comment where it's like only a chef would know what this is. And
right.
He's like, "Oh, are you using this kind of garlic today?"
Well, I'll say this too. On top of that, and you're 100% right. I think this
is a great episode. I'm getting a lot of compliments.
No, there's a level of so the only reason I say that because when I talk to people about football, right,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to go into terms of technologies or schemes and stuff. Not that listen, I think somebody could pick up a football for dummies and talk game with you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the little nuances that like, oh, this guy knows. It's kind of like how we were referring to Jim Lampley. Like how you...
It's exactly it.
Yes.
It gave me street cred when I was talking about Sweet Pea.
And I've seen you go in the kitchens and like have
I do the same thing.
Buddy, hip, nudge thing with a guy. And the guy's like, oh, damn the cameras. I want to show off all my toys. And I'm just like, man, that's awesome. I don't know if anybody has that. Show the Andrew Zimmons of the world, probably get that type of access. But for somebody like you to come off the street and be like, yo, I know what you're talking about.
It'd be like someone coming up to you and be like, was it harder for you to block the 3-tech or the 5-tech?
Like, I'm just like,
and I would be lost. And that's what the beauty of Barstool Breakfast was too. This is the Barstool Breakfast fucking memoriam for some reason. Willie was the first chair. He sat in the middle, a lot of times with his shoes off, and I never agreed with that. So here's a little tip. Willie's toenails look like 10 fucking poker chips. So anyway, he sat in the middle, and at the apex, the way there was once we got the studio, sort of came to an apex. It was welcome on back with Willie Colon, Francis, and me. And he had the opportunity then to dictate the flow. So if he had something that you weren't comfortable talking about, like let's say he was like, oh, I see this new bill coming out of Ireland where redheads get a tax break. And then you know that that's kind of my lane. You'd be like, what do you think about that, Large? Yeah. You wouldn't have to have any knowledge of that because that was it. If it was something sports wise, you wouldn't throw it to me because you knew that I was just out of my fucking depth. Right? All the time.
Fair.
And with most sports, I'm not just talking about football where his kung fu is strongest. I'm talking about with most sports, I never feel like I am outgunned when I'm talking about food. So when we started Beats and Eats.
But can I stop you for that? You're also not a know-it-all in that realm.
Yeah,
like other things you can be like, yeah, no, you're an idiot. Let me talk.
Yeah, yes.
But when you also are like, no, I know, like, let's converse. Like, I know what's going on.
I get excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, the same way that if somebody switches up an offense and it's revolutionary to you the way that it's being run versus when you played, right? Then I think you get excited about it. You're like, oh shit, I could see you're hitting is there such a thing as an A-gap? There's an A-gap, like all that shit. See, I just threw A-gap out? Fuck you, Ian. Right? We were in a 3-2-3. I don't know. So I went nickel. You get excited about it in the same way. Like when we did Beats and Eats, Willie would line up these. It was destined to fail because it was at that time where people were suing you for using licensed music. And half of the thing was licensed music and half of it. So I told a story with Michael Ferraro when you were upstairs hanging out with the beautiful Margot Bingham.
Yes.
I bring her up all the time.
She's on Walking Dead.
And man, this girl, she was in Boardwalk Empire.
Yes,
too.
That's what she made her. Oh, yeah, that's when the world. I mean, she was been around, but she kind of hit the.
That's where people got to see her voice.
Yes.
And she was one of the singers at the club. Like I don't know, man. That girl, she was just talented. All the way attractive.
Yep.
Her voice, her look, everything about her,
Pittsburgh
personality.
Girl.
So this guy gets to hang out upstairs with her while I go downstairs in the kitchen and I cook foie with Michael Ferraro, and I was in my element. But the first time we did it, we went to a kitchen and you had said to this guy, so listen, I'm going to put this guy in the kitchen with you. I'm going to be outside with Angie Martinez. Remember Angie Martinez?
Yes, Angie, yeah.
Legendary New York City DJ. Meant a lot to me to meet her. And then I went in there and the guy's like, all right, so we're going to work with this wheat la coche. I was like, oh my God, corn smut, let's go.
Mm.
And then he was like, oh shit, you know corn smut? Because there's this like fungus that grows on the outside of corn and then you put it into these tortillas, it gives it a little bit of tang and it's got like an off-putting color. And so then, let's fuck with this guy. And I was like, we're doing grasshoppers, let's go chapulines. And we made you guys grasshoppers and I eat anything, which I love grasshoppers. Grasshoppers is not one of my favorite foods, one of my favorite weird foods. And as a result, I got to fuck around with this. You got to fuck around on the outside. Then we come out and eat and kind of hang out together. And that's why I love that thing so much.
Yeah, I thought it was a great concept. I think one thing that food does for a lot of people, besides build a bridge, it allows people to, like you said, either be comfortable or uncomfortable, but you have to try it, right? Because now you're in front of somebody who you are comfortable with and they'll judge you.
Yes. I'll judge the shit out of you.
Judge the shit out of you.
Yo, fuck yeah.
Because a lot of what people eat will tell you how far in depth the relationship's going to go, right? If somebody's a picky eater, you're like, I can't
stand it.
We can't do a lot, right? So now now picky eaters are some people like, I can't take you everywhere and I can't trust you to do everything, right? Because your palate doesn't allow it. But if you're allowed to eat everything, now I'm more inclined to tell you stories. Now I'm more inclined to say where I learned this from. Now I'm more inclined to be like, all right, I know a spot in a shady ass neighborhood.
Yes.
With one stoplight and everybody in there looks like a zombie, right? But they got the best fucking fried chicken.
Right.
Or they got the best fucking ramen. So that's why what a person eats and how they approach the food lets you know about the personality and what they stand for inside.
What do you do with the kids? So when we spoke,
I've lost.
You've lost. Okay.
I've lost.
So we talked about this a lot on the show because so if the show was 6 years ago, then we're looking at Bridget being 9, Finn being 12. That's the cops coming from Mick right now. But like I would tell you, we had the kids to a point where they tried everything twice, right? Yeah. And you were like, I think I'm going to do that too. Yeah. Because otherwise it really cramps your ability to eat well because you're eating most of your family meals with them. So now that you have, how old are your kids?
5 and 4.
5 and 4. So you can be introducing certain things to them. I'm not saying that you're going out and having wheat la coche or fucking grasshoppers. How adventurous are they? And then how much do you and the lovely Aikisha push stuff on them and not take no for an answer?
Well, we've lost that battle.
Okay.
We've unfortunately fallen into the chicken tenders and french fries, which pissed me off because I didn't grow up like that.
Look how happy Ian is.
Yeah,
we got another.
Well, no, because I think what pisses me off because when they were babies, it wasn't like that. We would put broccoli and cream, spinach in their mouth, mashed potatoes, and they were trying it, and it seemed like they like it. Now that they've gotten older, now it has to be a certain type of way. My son is probably the pickiest out of everybody.
Is your wife have an adventurous palate?
She'll try everything once, but she won't. But if she ain't fucking with it, she ain't fucking with it. Me, even if I don't like it, I'll go back to see if it was more meat in the food.
Yeah, or if it was a restaurant.
You know what I mean?
Like it's unfair.
Was I in a bad mood? That's why I didn't like this. I'm the asshole.
But that's what I say about people with caviar. Some people are like, I hate caviar. I'm like, where'd you had it? Oh, I had it at a wedding once. Yeah. So you had it sitting out on a cracker and the whole deal. Like, come see my world.
So for the kids, man, they're real picky and they're starting to come around. I'm for it. Like, unfortunately, I'm also the parent who looks at the meme that says, "Oh, if your kid digests too much sugar in the morning, they're not going to grow." So I'm like, I'll shoot that to my wife. Like, see, you keep pushing Captain Crunch down his goddamn mouth. He's going to be a 5'5" kid. Right. He could easily be 6'3" like his dad. So
he was 405 at one point. We had a weight loss contest. It was myself, William.
Lars looks great, by the way.
Thank you. Because you were killing me. So I'm almost at the weight I was when I first started at Barstool.
Oh, wow.
Almost. Oh, wow. I say this all the time. There's a picture of me and Ellie. Remember little Ellie Schnitt? Yeah. Me and Ellie Schnitt. And I was like, I think maybe 255 or something. I'm like 265 now. But I was 324, right? When we were doing our thing. Damn. And we had that weight loss thing and the scale only went up to 400 when you were 405. And it was literally one at a time, it said, or something. So you're a fucking hypocritical jerk. It was me, you, Brandon, and there was another person involved in the weight loss bet too.
I don't know.
And then we were just so bad at it, we just stopped the bet. Like, we never came to fruition. So telling your kids that they can't have sugar, did they ever say, Dad? I remember you and Uncle Large fucking having wine at 7:30 in the morning every Friday for 2 years. Yeah,
we've tried to allow them. We try to force them to try everything once. My son, like I said, is the pickiest.
Yeah.
I think my wife just gets exhausted, so she's like, let's just order Chick-fil-A. When she gets worn down for whatever reason, I'm like, no, that's when we got to hold the line, right? So I find myself cooking more, bro.
You gotta hold the line.
Yeah.
Like you're holding back the fucking
because it's
the
just
zombie horde.
Because you see, we're foodies, right? We
Yeah.
appreciate food, we appreciate culture, we appreciate conversations, and like I just stated earlier in the pod, there's so much intel you gather sitting together eating, right? And so much that because my wife is from the South, I'm from the North. There's so much great cuisine in between. If we sit down and you only want a fucking 6-piece nugget and fries,
Yeah.
what do me and my wife have to say about that?
Yeah.
We lose stories, right?
That's right.
It's a disconnect from us kind of spilling into our kids. So
It's like a mini adventure you're missing out on.
yeah. So like if my wife is not wanting to throw down, like I think my wife makes a mean 16 bean soup. Mean, right? Throws a ham hock in it, does the whole process.
Fuck.
It slaps, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a reason for that, right? Because in the South, when things were hard,
Yeah.
that was what people put together because it's stretch, right? A lot of cuisines in the South, isn't because it just one is because it goes back to slavery and what they had is what they made with, but a lot of it is because they had to stretch meals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of her meals came from her mom. Like, listen, I don't know when the next money's coming in, but you can have this for 3 or 4 days and it's still good. You can appetite. So a lot of her upbringing is with that. And with me, my mom was more like, she had a big ass black Puerto Rican husband who came from the island, but she grew up on soul food. And my father wouldn't eat unless.
Think about that, Ian. Think about how uncomfortable you are sometimes going to a meal with me. Think about when Willie was like, let's say when Willie was 5 years old, he was only 6'2", 240 pounds. So 5-year-old Ian comes over 5-year-old Willie's for lunch.
Yeah.
Because it's a half day at school. And so you go there. Willie's dad comes out. He's in a tank top. You're always in a tank top, right?
Always underwear, white socks. Yeah.
Underwear, white socks, tank top. Comes out. So you have like that Caribbean type mix with the soul food thing. You would just have buttered rolls, I would think, right? What would you do in that situation?
I'm pretty good I'm like a picky eater who can navigate any situation.
Okay.
I'll take food down and I won't enjoy it, but I'll be polite.
If you came to my house in the afternoon and my dad happened it, he would make fried pork chops with Spanish rice.
I'd probably love it.
No, you would love that.
Yeah.
That's universally
And
loved.
so to put land the plane was my dad wouldn't eat soul food because all he knew was Spanish food. So my mother was forced to learn how to make Spanish food. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was the bridge between it. He's like, it's like I love the greens and all that shit, but where's the totones? Where's the roast chicken? Where's where's the gandulas? Like he was asking for all these things, and my mother be like, well, shit. I got to do my wifely duties. I got to feed my man. So she was forced to learn about the other Spanish women in our community, how to make dishes just to feed him. So like all that intel, once again, is disconnected. If my wife is tired and then they're like, all right, let's just order pizza. Like there's no story to that.
Because your kids are on the precipice of having one of the best food upbringings that you can ask for. They would have the New York Caribbean soul food Mississippi thing. I don't know of a restaurant that's like that, but I'd put my name on the waiting list in a fucking heartbeat.
Like I grew up eating
chicken fried fucking oxtails. Give it to me, right? Like if they start combining stuff, like your kids are on the precipice of having some really fantastic, and they will. Like we're talking now. Like I will tell you that now I can go out and have a great food experience with my kids with just about any cuisine, and they're basically DTF. Even Bridge, who's like a smaller girl, right?
Yep.
They are. And it'll happen with your kids and it's going to be better for everybody.
I just feel bad for every parent because I think there's a level of exhaustion you get when you're fighting your kid every time to kind of like, not just from a nutritional value, just like, kid, this goddamn nuggets you eat can't even touch the pastalones that you could have, right? Or you can't touch what, the oxtails that Uncle Large can make. So it's like, it's that constant back and forth. And then if you're trying to lose weight, you feel guilty because the kid only ate 2 fucking nuggets. Now you got a 5, you got a 7, you got 4 piece there. So now you slap them down. Now you're fat, right? So it's just like this constant.
I like how he just he pushed off his obesity on his kids not finishing 2 nuggets. I'm throwing stones. I don't mean to. But what it is. Yeah, the only reason I'm like this, my kids can only do 4 out of 6 nuggets. So every other week I got to throw down an extra 2. Woe is me.
Right.
What's the favorite meal that you've ever had with me? That's a question that I so far have asked nobody. And I don't think going forward.
You know it though.
I think so too. But I am going forward, unless Annie comes on this show, I probably won't ask that question again. So what's the favorite meal you've ever had with me?
Any meal at Arturo's.
Any meal at Arturo's.
Any.
I will tell you that we had one during the pandemic again, where they had the tent outside.
Yeah.
And we went out there, and Mario was just nice enough to say, grab a bottle off the bar. I think we grabbed bottles off the bar.
Uh-huh.
We went outside and we had it. And there were so many of those nights for us, but there was one. Maybe we'll revisit that one in a second.
Okay.
That'll be the weirdest meal we'll do that story.
Okay.
But I will say that my favorite meal with you, and that Arturo's great answer, was the lunch that we had at El Cid's with Francis and Patty and Zah.
You know the story?
And then we did we did like an ad shoot.
Yeah.
And I think we did it at your house. Was that the one we did maybe at the
chickens
park?
Or something
Yeah.
like that.
So Willie keeps chickens. Do you still have chickens?
No, they got.
Right. So Willie used to have a fucking farm in the backyard. He'd keep a couple of chickens, a llama, and a Komodo dragon. And so the chickens had names. So we were doing like an ad. And so we needed chickens. And Willie's like, obviously he's like, I got some. So we filmed it at his house. And then afterwards we took the small crew that we had to our local Spanish place, which had since closed and then reopened.
Yeah, they're back. Yeah, right.
I've only gone once. I'm going to go back again because it wasn't the same. But I find myself saying that about a lot of places.
Gotcha.
Either way, the place is El Cid's. It's on Paramus Road in Paramus. And we go there. It got Francis so fucking nervous because the 5 of us sat down. I think we had like a $900 lunch. Francis like, I'm not turning this in. I was like, I got it. I'm turning it in. I was like, what's the biggest lobster that you've ever seen? And the guy's like, we have the Old Dutchman. I was like, I know the meat's not good. Please don't try to teach me about fucking seafood. Just go steam the fucking thing and bring it out now. Because we just wanted pictures of it. We did the spicy tips, which are elite. We did pictures of mangria. And that's when me and Willie had seen the chinks in both of our armors. Can I get 2 pictures of sangria, red, just to start things off? Willie's like, no oranges. I'm allergic to oranges. Yeah. And then I looked at him. I was like, no apples. I'm allergic to apples. Yeah. Look at these 2 assholes right now. Me and how do I do that? Yeah. Me and Willie. I could die from an apple. Yeah. This fucking guy could die from an orange. How about that? Right? Talk about brothers from a different mother type thing. Both of ours had some weakness in our genetic DNA. Yeah. I obviously had a couple more. Fucking apples. And I'm okay with them cooked and whatnot. You can have orange juice like that's processed, right?
Well, that's how I discovered I was allergic to orange juice because growing up, I had Sunny D. Right? I thought,
which is 2% orange.
Right. Yeah, and then when I got to school, they gave me real orange juice and my throat started scratching and I started like, and they were like, what did you drink? I'm like, orange juice. But I was like, I always drink Sunny D. And I remember the doctor being like, that's not orange juice. Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? It says orange drink.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they had to spell it a different way. So we sat down and we went soup to nuts. They brought out the scallops in the shell and we had some paella, Valenciana.
We ate like we were going to jail for 8 years.
Oh,
and
man.
It made Francis so nervous to the point where Francis was like, I'm not okay with this. Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not turning this in. He was like, I think you guys are kind of abusing your power. And me and Large is like,
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, another sangria. Yeah, no oranges, no apples.
He thought we were going to get fired after that. Yeah. Me and Large walked in here, act like nothing. Like we robbed a bank and nothing ever happened.
Yeah. But a couple months later, I don't think we should blog about a girl who's missing. Nah, we're good with that. That's the Francis. That's Twist This Through Francis. One of my favorite people here. I haven't had Francis on the show yet.
He would do great.
Yeah, he's I don't know. I think Francis is, we were both on the impression he's insanely talented.
100%.
Best writer that Barstool's ever had, much less does now. Somebody had written in, I had an offensive lineman on, I had told you, T-Bob Abear. Some guy had come to me. T-Bob, I had said, give me 5 toppings for a pizza. Give me 5 toppings for a pizza. I'm going to ask you the same question. Okay. Give me 5 toppings that you would put on pizza at one time.
I would
think about it. Don't tell me right now, so you can have it in your head. One of the ones that T-Bob had picked, because I know this isn't going to be a dupe, was corn, sweet corn. I've never had sweet corn on a pizza. I'm not saying I'm against it, but it did like make me go, like I don't know. Some guy had written in to me, Jimmy Harris is the guy's name. So my brother-in-law makes a fried chicken pizza, regular pizza dough, mashed potatoes in gravy, and fried chicken pieces on top, then a sprinkle of sweet corn and cheese on top before he goes into the oven. That's different from what T-Bob had said. He was putting corn on a regular pizza. This motherfucker. A fried chicken pizza with mashed potatoes on top of dough with gravy, fried chicken, corn, and cheese on top, I would have that maybe as my death row meal. That sounds good to me.
Do you want me to give my 5 yet?
I said I can see that. As a matter of fact, I could probably masturbate to that. It sounds so fantastic. That's where I'm at, like that. Give me your 5.
At least he knows not a robot.
Exactly. I wasn't a bot answer. Give me your 5.
I would do Italian sausage, hot peppers, right?
Hot cherry peppers.
Oxtail.
Oxtail.
Right.
Shredded oxtail off the bone, yeah.
Yep. I would do fried chicken. Right.
Right.
Definitely do that.
Yeah.
And I gotta finish it with a hot honey.
That is fucking disgusting. No, I mean that's good, but it's like one of those things where it's an embarrassment of riches.
Hey, don't shake your goddamn head over.
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna shake your head at
What are you
anything.
doing?
Yeah.
When you even tried it, you shake your
How are you with heat? Do you do any spicy foods?
I don't do good with
You're
heat.
damn right you don't.
Wow.
How are you with heat right now? Scale of 1 to I don't know who would be 10. I don't know who's like the heat seeker that we would know in common. Scale of 1 to 10. How are you with heat?
I love heat.
You can
I
go
can
heat,
get real hot.
Scotch bonnet, the whole deal.
All that. I love Scotch.
I think you can tolerate it more than I can.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't have that. He brings unseasoned food to the cookout either.
No,
you know what I mean?
by
Like
no
that
means.
whole thing.
No.
But I need heat in everything. And hot honey, I need heat and I need sweet.
Well,
in a
they
lot
said
of things.
people who
It's
like-
the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, they
It's
said
cheat code.
I think people who eat hot food or like hot food or have a higher tolerance, have a higher pain tolerance.
Oh, okay.
I
That
think
makes sense.
That's like
Yeah.
so.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But and that would make sense because you played with a torn bicep, I think, right? What did you do?
I played with a torn bicep. I played with my knees bone on bone. I put my last 2 years with the Jets. I played on one leg,
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So he and I have high tolerances for pain.
Yeah.
Like no, but I've had everything that people can have: a kidney stone, gout, everything that you can have that people say is the worst thing in the world. I've had it, except knock on wood, shingles. I've heard only like
I've
that.
I've seen it. That's brutal.
Yeah,
Man.
Annie had it, and sometimes it comes on your trunk. Annie had it particularly just on her arm.
But you only get that if you've never had chicken pox, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I went out and got vaccinated for shingles after I saw her and she couldn't get vaccinated because you can't do it until like a certain time after you have the shingles, whatever. But otherwise, that's why I think that I can say with a straight face that I do have a high tolerance for pain.
Can I ask you a question since we're on the food topic?
6 inches. Oh, wait. Go ahead. I thought it was something.
Is there a dish that I think, because we talked about you making your oxtails, and one of my mom's favorite dish to make us, or me rather, because it was my go-to, or rather I loved it, was her meatloaf, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a dish that you would pass down to the kids? Yeah, so
I think the short answer is all of them. Like I would love. We were just down at the beach.
But if you had to pick one,
yeah, Willie, I have a certain romanticism about making a sauce on Sundays, and you've had my sauce. Yes, you're at my table for sauces on Sundays, right? That to me is like I'm a proud Irishman, but I've never gotten out of bed on a Sunday and be like, man, I can't wait to make that shepherd's pie. If it's a fall day and I get out of bed on a Sunday early and I can head to 3 different stores, make sure I get my bread from here, my meats from here, my tomatoes from here, my cheese from here, then come home, throw on some fucking Louis Prima or any of the other names on Leone's sandwich fucking chart and just make a sauce that takes all day. A deep sauce that it goes from just that deep ox blood from red and everything in there. If I'm putting in like brajol and I put a little chopped hard-boiled egg in my brajol, like I do little certain things that I think are just mine that the kids will probably do too. If my kids start making Sunday sauces and keep that going, I will be thrilled.
I will be thrilled because that is a connection that is unbreakable.
Yes.
And that's what I want with my kids right now. That's why I get so frustrated when they are, first of all, my kids are 5 and 4, so I got to breathe.
You have time.
I got time, right.
Exactly.
But I don't.
You've given up on them because we've been here for an hour.
Right. And so I sit back and I'm like, man, I want to pass down a dish that this hits no matter where they're at.
Right.
So Sunday sauce for you is it? I don't have that dish yet, but I will find it and I want to be able to pass it.
Yeah, I think but Bridget made a pot of tea the other. So I brew tea, right? I'm a tea, not a coffee guy, as you know. So we have a couple of tea sets. You get them when you're married, and a lot of people don't use them. I had one last time I was in Ireland. I went to some place that was making them handmade. I had it made and sent over to me. So I enjoy having a pot of tea every now and again. When Bridget made a pot of tea the other day for us, I was like, here we go. Koozie on top of it out there. We had it all set up like gentlemen. It didn't have any kind of difficulty to it. Anyone can make a pot of tea. But if she's enjoying it the way that I do,
Yeah.
like me and my daughter sitting down and having tea parties when she was 2
Oh, that's awesome.
was special.
Yep.
Me and my daughter sitting down and having a pot of tea with a soft-boiled egg and some sourdough toast when she's 15. I can't imagine that me and my daughter aren't going to sit down and have a pot of tea and breakfast when she's 30. Well, I'll probably be dead. But like otherwise, like I think like even that around it. And
it's so great.
It's priceless.
It's so great you said that now because I'm like that with coffee. Like I despised coffee for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
My mother and aunt, both twins, God rest their soul, would drink coffee in 100-degree weather and be like, oh, I'm drinking it because it cools me down. Like psycho behavior, right?
Yes.
Now I find myself in the morning, I'll have jet black coffee, nothing in it. And I find it calms me down.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know where it comes from, but like, I guess because I'm doing more morning radio and TV.
Yeah.
First thing I have is a hot cup of coffee.
Every morning. You never used to have it on the show.
Never.
Yeah.
That's like kind of my thing.
I bought an espresso machine because Annie has these cortados and she loves them. So it's espresso with, we had the cortaditos when we were down in South Beach. I say we, but I meant her and Finn. And they do them with that sweetened condensed milk. Oh,
slaps.
That is the fucking shit, man. Introducing that. And that's again, like you're talking about your wife's cuisine being born out of struggle.
Yeah.
I love those meals more than anything else.
Yeah.
I just browned up some fucking pork ribs last night in the cast iron, and then I finished them in the oven. Just butter, olive oil, salt, and pepper. And then when they were just about done, I just deglazed the pan with a shitload of the vinegar from the sliced hot cherry peppers. Then I threw the hot cherry peppers on top of it, just back in the oven just to warm it through, up, crusty bread out of that one pan. And I'm telling you, somebody's like, this is delicious. What's in it? It's pork ribs, olive oil, salt, pepper, butter, hot peppers. There is 6 ingredients in that. And they're all, pork ribs are the cheapest ones.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like that type of stuff. I think you can tell a lot about a culture by how they stretch the ingredients of their sausages. So morcilla, blood sausages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Love
Black pudding, for the Irish. Or even if you start to go and you see like those white, those really white sausages like bratwurst, which are going to have a lot of filler in them. I think even boudin has a lot of filler in it too.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those ones where they made stuff stretch. That to me, I don't even appreciate the struggle that went into it. I find that to be especially delicious without even knowing, like they did it right.
You talk about struggle food. I think one of the struggle foods that pissed me off that people are scared to eat in public right now are hot dogs.
Yeah.
You can't eat a hot dog around your friend right now because they're instantly gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Go glizzy thing.
Like I grew up eating mystery meat my whole life. I grew up on Gray's papaya.
Yeah.
I grew up like having 2 hot dogs and like a mango drink with it or coconut and pineapple drink. And my dad would be like, all right, we're going to just take a walk just so we can finish our food as we moved. Yeah. Now, if I get caught eating 2 hot dogs with my friend, like, oh shit, look at Willie. And I'm just like, I hate that that's a one struggle food. We should never you can't do it.
In their defense though, you do eat them in one bite. And sometimes you do that thing where you put it in and you take it back out and all the toppings are up. Then you go back in, then it comes back. So it's your fault. By the way, there was a baseball game. I don't know when this episode drops, but there was a baseball game this weekend. It was in Bristol Motor Speedway in the state of Tennessee. I've been to Bristol a couple of times with NASCAR. It was the first time a Major League Baseball game was played in the state of Tennessee ever. Okay. Which I thought was wild. Tennessee has never hosted an MLB game. So anyways, the Reds versus the Atlanta Braves. They put it in a NASCAR track. They sold between 85 and 90,000 seats, which means it's the most attended regular season baseball game in the history of Major League Baseball. Yeah. This is big. They fire fested it. They ran out of just about everything. The weather was terrible. You would go up and order a hot dog. They were like, we're sorry, we don't have any rolls. Ooh. This was as the game was beginning. You know when people order hot dogs? 90,000 people looking for hot dogs. So they either would give it to you plain, just wrapped in whatever, or they'd give it to you on one of those paper boats on top of tortilla chips. Wow. Oh, man. Just so you had something to it. Like, you know what I mean?
True definition of raw dog.
Yeah, it certainly is. So, I mean, I'm glad that it's still a part of the lexicon here in the United States.
I love hot dogs.
Yeah, I'm doing a review of one that we did up at Island Creek Oysters.
Didn't you do Rutt's Hut?
Rutt's Hut is my favorite. He went with me to Rutt's Hut. It's the first time he ever tried fucking relish. He's never tried relish. It's fucking disgraziato.
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was.
What's going on?
Yeah,
Dad left the house early. What happened?
Yeah.
And his mom used to breastfeed him with a slingshot. Yeah. I don't respect you at all. I respect your work ethic. I respect everything about you.
You're wearing a Jets hat, so I got some love for you. But you're starting to chop down.
I wonder what else we could talk about. Well, I'm wondering what else. When is the next big party for you guys? And then what do you do? Has it tailed off as it's become more about the kids and less about you?
Yeah. Naturally.
Because when you were single,
you know what's the biggest trouble we're having?
Yeah.
Date night.
Yeah. At that age.
At this age, it's not that we can't get help. We can't, I find it hard to eat at a staple we both want to eat at and not feel like we have a to-do. We're putting, it's like a check-in for the relationship, but also a to-do list of what we have to do for the kids.
Yeah.
When prior to that, we would eat, drink, party, just like lose our minds over one dinner and come home and be like, man, that was an experience. So we've lost the essence of the experience solely because we're kind of going through the checklist of things we have to do for the house, things we want to do, things we want to do as a couple. It's like this, it feels like a conference call.
Yeah.
Rather than two people checking in. And that's kind of annoying. But food brought us together too.
What do you feel is appropriate with the kids at the age that they are with the personalities that they have? Because it makes all the difference in the world. I was lucky with my oldest that I could take him to any restaurant as long as it had a ceiling fan, because Mick would stare at ceiling fans. He was fascinated by them. So we could get 45 minutes of absolute quiet with a kid in a carrier if there was a ceiling fan around. It's a cheat code. But otherwise,
original fidget spinner, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. We never took our kids to very special, high class restaurants. We were able to get away for date night, quite a bit. And then when we finally did start taking our kids to restaurants, and you've been at restaurants with my kids since they were young, they knew that it was that wasn't a right, it was a privilege to them. Right. Yeah. So they've always really been respectful in restaurants, and that's not always the case. So if you and Akeisha are saying, man, I want to do one of those fuck you nights like we used to do. And that was every night they went out. So if you and your date, Ian, decide that you want to go to, I don't know, name any great restaurant, you want to go to Fort Charles. And there are certain ways to do that when you live in Hoboken. So let's say you're Willie and he lives in your thing and he meets a girl, Akeisha, and he's going to take her to Fort Charles. The way he gets there is by a helicopter or a limo. There's no, like sometimes you'd be like, oh, I'm going to drop a bag on her at Fort Charles. We'll take a train there and we'll Uber home. Right. That doesn't exist, right? And then you go there, you'd be like, Jesus, maybe I won't do that rack of lamb because I don't want to pay $180. Yeah. So why don't we do this? You just give me one of everything. So Willie always did it big, big. So now for you guys to have that kind of big meal and you spend all that money and then at a table next to you there's a crying baby, how do you feel about that? Because you have kids that could act up in restaurants too, so people could get mad when all of a sudden well, two things. Holly has a little breakdown.
One, and it has happened, you gotta put your kids in that experience to let them learn from it, right? But I'm also I police my kids. Yep. I believe in policing your kids. I don't like parents who allow their kid, and I let my kid get up from the table, but I'm also the type of kid, like, if you're going to get up, stay close to this table. Don't interfere with their table, right? And there's also parents who get it, so they allow my kid to come over and engage with them, which is fine. But I police my kids. I don't allow my kids to interrupt your experience because I don't know what it took for you to be at this restaurant. Right. So I'm very cautious with that. And also, I don't like parents who allow their kids to do anything. Like, there's a playground and then there's a restaurant. Yeah. You have to teach your kids the difference. And I think I've been around some parents who feel like, oh, the kid running around the restaurant with a butter knife, poking table number 84 down the road. Like, that's unacceptable.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah. No, that's not, that's not it. So I police my kids, me and my wife do. And if they don't, because we don't, like I said, we don't allow iPads at the table. And my kids would be like, Dad, I'm bored. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Be bored, but you're going to be here. You're going to be present.
I will tell you that because I've been through the whole deal with kids going to places and not going to places and all that. I finally have a rule of thumb. If you take your girlfriend out, Ian, to a place that has a kids menu, any type of kids menu, then you can't complain when there are kids there. But if you go to a restaurant that doesn't have a kids menu, I think that you should be able to have an evening with them where there are no kids.
Yeah.
And I'll go one further because that's sometimes tough to police. I would also make a rule in my restaurant, and this would be to stop kids from coming in, that before you sit down, I come out, I have to shake you vigorously. And then I have to put my thumb and press the top of your head. And if you're comfortable with me shaking your kid vigorously and putting my thumb into that undeveloped part of his fucking head, then come in and enjoy the meal. But otherwise, if there is no kids menu, there shouldn't be any fucking kids.
I agree.
I think it's a rule of thumb that we can all live by. Yeah. And if you don't like it, don't fucking go out.
Yeah, my kids went to a spot in the Bronx. This is a good staples called Frankie and Johnny's. You know, a lot of old timers went there. Yankees been there.
A lot of history there.
I know the people. That was the first big kind of place my kids went to. And they were bored within 5 minutes. But you know what happened? Everybody starts talking around the table, talking about the good times, the bad times, whatever. And now their ears lit up and their eyes light up because they're hearing words they've never heard, either cursing or not.
Yes. Yeah.
So now they're more engaged. And so I just adhere to that. Like, don't rob the kids of the history solely because you want them to be quiet so you can enjoy the meal.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong way to go about it.
I think, again, too, after 5, you're going to see it more often. And it's also going to get to a point where, I have my kids and we talk and all that stuff. But now my 15-year-old daughter is like, tell me about that time. I was over at Nana Papa's and they mentioned when you got arrested that night. Give me a little more insight to that. I'd be like, no, I think the main one is coming out. You know what I mean? Right. No, because I heard there was some, I was like, no, I get it. I spent the night in the 6-1, but I don't feel like talking about it here when we're sitting. So it is a double-edged sword, but I can go anywhere in the world now with my kids. And the difference between you and I is I have designated drivers. Oh, shit.
But you know one thing I've learned from you too, sitting at a restaurant, like you engage with the waiter on a level and the owner on the level. I think I want my kids to learn how to engage. Yeah. Like I've seen you pull over an owner and be like, hey man, so how long you been open? Da 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 da. And he'd be like, oh, so what's your favorite meal? Did you make it with this sauce? Right. And then the owner and the chef is like, oh shit. Like I want to grow that habit, especially with my kids, because my son is super social. And I'm like, instead of asking the chef, how what kind of steak cuts or whatever, start talking about sauces. Just have that type of conversation in your real house. I feel like that makes the eating out experience more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because
that's why I like open kitchens too, because they're more inviting to questions and whatnot. When I had one of the best Italian meals of my life in Frankfurt, Germany, I've told this story before. I was kind of, I don't know, surprised. Wow. I was like, I had to come to Germany when I grew up in Brooklyn. Meanwhile, you can see Italy from Germany. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how myopic you get being in the city. But I was so excited and drunk about it. The guy's like, want to come back in the kitchen? Yeah. Do I? I was like, can I buy everybody like, a strega? And they're like, yes. We went back. We did some shots with the whole staff. Then it came out. They brought me like something special for dessert. It just makes it better. Listen, a busy restaurant doesn't have the luxury to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they're a fucking asshole foodie like me. Yeah. Exactly the problem to go in all night because no work would be done. But every now and again, it just makes sense. It does.
And I know we probably going to wrap up soon, but I'm
not wrapping up. I'm staying here all day.
What I'm saying, what do you think? And this is, and you're young, so this maybe fits your demographic. Uh-huh. What do you think? There's this thing on. My niece is going into college. We're about to move her in a week. And she's into the boys. Let's just say that.
It's a beautiful girl.
Right.
I don't like the fact that she's not 12 anymore.
Right. She's a beautiful girl and doing great for herself. Yep. With that said, there's this dating routine, or not a routine, but this new code that if you should, the guy now has to, if the girl's not one to put out, he should only pay half the bill. Or if there's another thing like, oh, you shouldn't, your first date should be at a local coffee shop instead of I'm not saying you got to take it to Del Frisco's. Right. But a good little spot in between. Whereas it's like, hey, I like you enough where, it's going to cost me enough. I don't believe in killing nobody's pockets on the first date. So I'm not saying that. But I do think a nice restaurant, fair good mom and pop Italian spot shows that, hey man, I'm really interested in you. Am I wrong for that?
No, I don't believe that you're wrong at all. I'm sorry. You're asking the youngster. I apologize. I thought it was my podcast for a second.
Like, are you with that new social norm? Like,
I would never,
if a girl's not going to put out,
I would never split a bill on a date. Okay. I would never do that. I did it with my brother last night. He tried to split the bill with me. I was like, you already turned me off and I'm your brother. That doesn't work. Never split the bill. But I will say, to the coffee date point, a lot of girls will be scared or like freaked out if you ask them out to dinner for a first date.
What do you mean?
It's too intimate?
It's too intimate.
You said they get freaked out if you say, hey,
it's too
let's
intimate.
go to Sandra's for some Italian meal.
Too intimate, too much of a time commitment. They like a drink or coffee or a walk where they have an easy exit. They can just break off.
So they're thinking about an exit plan already before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We'd be so fucked, Willie.
I would be done.
We'd be so done.
They're like, if they don't have an exit plan, they're not going. That's for sure.
Do you remember your first date with Ann? Where you ate?
Yeah, so we had gone to Dario's on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn, and it was a couple of blocks away. I lived on 101st Street and 4th Avenue above a restaurant called 101. And we walked down to Dario's. She came to it. By the way, we've talked about this. Annie pursued me hard. Like I wasn't, and I talk about this and everyone's like, because Annie's a beautiful woman and I look like. But she was banging when I was raking. And I just got out of a long-term relationship. So I was like, I want a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until she was like, okay, then I think I'm going to go out with this other guy. I was like, no, don't just, I don't really want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so when I went to the first date at Dario's, it was one of those things where if anyone was playing hard to get, it was me. She'll tell you this also.
Yeah. I've heard her say that.
I'm not flexing. Yeah. And so we have it. Dario's isn't there anymore. And they did a nice job. And it was exactly what you're talking about. It was mom and pop Italian, and they just did a couple of good pastas and a couple of great pastas. But it wasn't anything that you broke the bank or knocked your eye out. Bill comes, and I forgot my wallet. I did, and legitimately forgot my wallet. And so my first date with Annie, she had to pick up the bill. Yeah. And then, I had paid her in dick, right? Like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But like, it was one of those things where, and then basically, we thank you so much for everything, a little kiss. And then she had left after that. And I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, if you want to impress a girl,
like,
I did.
No
yeah.
way.
And I, and it wasn't, right? Like, I can't shake this girl now, but no, like 26 years of marital bliss. But that was the first one. And she picked up the bill. And we get so caught up, I think, traditionally as men on how we can impress them. But I walked back to my apartment. Like, honestly, she grabbed a cab from there. She lived, I don't know where she was living at the time, to be honest with you. I don't remember. She grabbed a cab and left. I walked back to my apartment and I was impressed like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, wow.
The way I didn't feel bad about it, the way that she
didn't make you
handled
feel bad.
No. Can
like
you imagine
nowadays,
if that happens today?
Well, they
Ian?
throw you on social media now.
Yes.
Now they're like,
I would be
look at this
outed.
loser. Yeah.
I would be fucking outed. And as a result, she would out
you were
me.
working, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I was a fucking captain of industry.
Right.
You kidding me? I was buying and selling people like you now. So I was at the beginning of my career, but I certainly had some money in my pocket. It wasn't that I couldn't afford the meal. I even knew the people in Dario's. It was very, I know everybody. I'm an asshole now that I think about it. So it was one of those things where it wasn't a money issue at all or that I wouldn't spend it on her. I just legitimately didn't have my wallet on me. And it wasn't like, oh, can I just use my phone? Can I Apple Pay? If I forget my wallet, I can literally pay off my watch now.
Now, yeah.
So back then that wasn't the case. I had my wallet, I didn't have my credit card. And the way that she handled it was so fucking impressive to me. And the way that Ian talks about the dating scene, and not just you, Ian, the way that my son, Mick, the way that everybody talks about if that was to happen today, I think she would have been if she went along with the way that it is, we would never had a second date. We would never have 3 perfect kids. We would never have a perfect fucking marriage, whatever you call it. We would have never have had that. You know what I mean? And Annie and I, and it started from there.
Sure.
And I don't know if I would survive.
I know I wouldn't.
I think I'd die alone.
I think you would be fine. I think in a weird way, like you going the opposite direction, and be like, no, actually, you pay for dinner.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah.
So like the first time me and my wife, our first date was at Joe's Crab Shack. She came to visit me in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm hungry. And I knew she liked seafood. So I was like, we got Joe's Crab Shack at the road. She's like, do it. We sit down. We get to order and drinks and stuff. She ordered, it was like a big old steam pot of just like all these mixed seafoods. And I'm thinking we're going to share this son of a bitch. She's like, no, this is mine. Right. So this little old woman, big ass steam pot, and she orders a shark bite. Now, a shark bite is pretty much a blue Hawaiian with a little toy fish that has a shooter of red punch in it. And I order my dish, and I'm thinking, I'm trying not to be the fat slob at the table, so I'm ordering little appetizer stuff, trying to just eat and fill myself up. This motherfucker threw a bib on and got the crab crack and put her elbows on the table, got after it.
Right.
And I'm looking like, holy shit, this girl can eat. I mean, she was dipping shit in butter. She's knocking down the shark bite. I'm like, who's chasing you? Like, is there a time? We have time right here? She's like, no, she was starving. And so from that point on, I was like, oh, she's mine. Like because she was relaxed enough to get after this goddamn bucket of shellfish, like crab legs all the time, mussels all the time, pounding a drink and butter all over her goddamn face. I'm just like, where did you just come from?
That's sexy as all hell, though, to be going on.
Yeah, but it made me feel like, oh, we could go and have a sloppy lunch or a sloppy dinner and still laugh at each other. And if we've eaten to the highest of highs to like the dumps, and our demeanor at the table is we're coming to eat. And what happens in between, like, but we're coming. The purpose.
But that would never happen if she's just like, that's too much for me. I just want to grab a coffee.
Yeah, or have a small salad.
I don't think that.
That makes me uncomfortable when I'm like, I'm coming to eat an app. A little possum in between, have a steak, and finish with this. I'm coming to eat, and you just have a Caesar because you don't want to mess up your dress.
Yeah,
like that's gonna make me uncomfortable.
We took Annie to my parents' house to meet her for the first time, and my mom corned ribs the way that corned beef where it's boiled and all that kind of stuff. So you can do it with pork ribs too, except when you boil pork ribs, they just become gray, like almost like an off beige,
like an alien looking color,
and the salty. And it's got like that slick of pork fat on top of it and whatnot, but they're absolutely delicious. If you like the taste of corned beef, you'll like the taste of these cured corned ribs, but they're not good looking. And it's cabbage. Cabbage has Annie comes into the house. She's like, what the fuck? And she was a vegetarian at the time. Oh. Annie was vegetarian when she first met me. And she excused herself because my brothers and I go after these corn ribs. My mom and dad are a little more civilized. We go after them all elbows out. And very succulent, like an old man eating a fruit cup. It kind of hits both sides of your mouth before it gets in. Ugh. She excused herself and she went to bed and she threw up. And then
because of looking at you guys,
watching me fucking eat. And then I was like, oh my God, this might not be the one, right? She's not going to make it through it. She's like, I'm really starving. I was like, okay, before I take you home, we'll stop in L&B's. We went to L&B's Spumoni Garden. We got her a slice or something, but she also got an Italian ice, a cherry ice, cherry Italian ice. And I like Spumoni, so I got like Spumoni vanilla chip. I can't not remember this. I was driving, so it was before we were married because now she's my chauffeur. And she's like, oh my God, this is great. This is exactly what I need. And I turn around and she's covered in cherry. Like I was like, oh, you slob. And that's when I was like, make me the happiest man in the world and be my wife almost. You know what I mean? So I think that if she wasn't like so DTF with food, then I think my whole life would have had a different trajectory. 100%. I've never said that out loud, but
100%.
My life would have a different trajectory if my wife wasn't.
Because that was the bridge.
Yeah, I think it was.
That was the bridge.
Yeah. And I don't know what else we would have had because we're both in the same industry. Could have talked about Wall Street for a while and whatever. But man, that just kind of secured us and then made us perfect. One of the ways that we differ, Willie, macaroni and cheese is a side dish at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You?
Yes. No. Not for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate macaroni and cheese the way most of the rest of the world does, but
it's culture. It's a culture thing.
Southern thing, but is it a black thing? Is it a Southern thing? And it's also a Southern thing, and you got both of them in your family. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it's just an automatic. I can tell you that's where we differ. I don't do macaroni and cheese at any family function. Macaroni and cheese is just. Yeah, you will never come over to my house and have macaroni.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's a must.
I'll make it on Tuesday and I'll make a macaroni and cheese. I'll make it on a Wednesday. I'll make it on Thursday. It's never part of a family. It's never part of a holiday meal for me. I think it's a part. I'm starting to salivate again. I think it's a huge part of a holiday meal for you, right?
Oh, it's everything.
There are just certain things where I think we deviate, and that's one of the things I've never come over the fucking fence on.
Yeah, we always have a macaroni and cheese and some type of pork.
Right.
Always. Right. Just everything else is kind of.
And I guess maybe because it's the Brooklyn upbringing where you would have a macaroni and cheese at everyone, we'd have a baked ziti. Or stuffed shells, or manigot, or lasagna, or something like that. Because I don't think you do macaroni and cheese and lasagna.
Well, I mean, it depends on the crowd. Fuck. It depends on the crowd. Exactly. If the crowd is big, we may have it. Yeah.
We'll do some questions. Yes. So I end stuff with usually the same questions. Let me see if I can bring them up. And I don't give these to you ahead of time.
Yes, I'm shooting off the rip.
What's the Tim Duncan of foods for you? Tim Duncan operated at a very high level for a very long time, but he wasn't flashy at all. You would agree with me on that.
Okay.
Like Tim Duncan is arguably top 5, top 10 players of all time. Are you cool with me saying that?
Yeah.
And Tim Duncan, I don't remember wearing a Tim Duncan sneaker. Did you?
He did. He had the silver and black flumes. I remember his sneakers.
But they weren't hot. I wore Akeem the Dreams for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I remember sneaking because him and KG kind of both were paired because they were both rivals, but they both sneaker came out at the same time. I think.
Very low key guy. always put up big numbers
Great
without
swimmer.
saying it. And yeah, I call my Tim Duncan the ice cream sandwich, because even though it doesn't get the top billing on the ice cream truck, if I ever fall into an ice cream sandwich, it hits every time.
Yeah.
What's that unsung hero of the food world that is always good, but doesn't get a lot of press?
Oh, for me?
Yeah, from anybody. Like if you go into a deli,
Yeah.
like Leone's, you can get the Charlutes, the Salvo, the this, the that, the that, the that, the that. But sometimes you go into a deli, you just get a turkey sandwich. It never has a name or anything like that. And a turkey sandwich is sometimes the greatest thing you can put in your mouth.
Probably a tuna melt.
Tuna melt. Tuna melt. Nobody's fucking mentioned the tuna melt.
Tuna melt.
The death of the tuna melt.
Look at his face.
The fucking death of the tuna melt is something. And I will tell you, my kids have no interest
With
in
bacon, by
fucking
the
tuna
way.
melt. Yeah, because you're a fucking animal.
Yeah, I got those
The
bacon
death
on
of the
it.
tuna melt broke my whole day. The death of it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not judging you. Warm tuna with mayo may not turn you on. You get a well-done English muffin with a little bit of tuna on it and a couple of slices of American cheese, the cheapest American cheese,
The cheapest,
melty
by the
one
way.
that I don't think legally can be called cheese.
It could be. You can leave it right there, and it won't mold for
Yeah.
2 years later. That
Yeah.
type of cheese. Yeah.
That every now and again. And since my family doesn't like it, I only have it when I go to my mom's house. Like she'll make tuna melts
Yeah.
for me there. And I fucking love
Tuna melt.
tuna melt.
With some kettle cooked chips and a cold drink. It would
Yeah.
always slap.
Look at my pants getting tight. What dish you wish you can get back? I had
Oh,
I had some meals from relatives who are no longer with us.
Yeah.
I've had some meals from restaurants that are no longer open. And I've had some meals that I just don't think would like watching an old movie and it doesn't stand the test of time breaks my fucking heart.
Yeah.
You know, like kids, you got to watch this. You got to watch this with me. And they're bored. And I'm like, oof, it wasn't that good. So there are some meals that I had that I won't go back to because I just know I'll never be able to recapture that one fucking thing. I'll never get it back. What
Yeah.
dish you wish you could get
My
back?
mom's codfish balls with a Spanish culture called bacalitos.
Bacalito. I've had your mom's.
Yeah.
Wait, did we dip them in fucking onion dip?
Yeah, they were great.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that was that fucking thing. Yeah,
My
I
mom-
loved them.
My mom's bacalitos were absolutely phenomenal, and they were always made super hot and spicy. And you talk about a dish like
Bacalitos.
she would only make it when there was like a family gathering going on. So obviously, like we always ate together as a family on Sundays. But if a birthday came up, needed to have them, or if somebody got a promotion or something good, needed
Need to
them.
have
So that was like the staple that we always she would make a million of them, and no bullshit. By the end of the night, done. You couldn't find one.
So you talk about struggle meals. So bacala, which is what they come.
Yeah.
So there's salt cod. It's cod that's packed and
Yep.
preserved in salt, and it is disgusting if you were going to try to just eat it. You soak this forever to
Yep.
get that
Get the
salt
salt
cure
off,
out
yeah.
of it, and then what you're left with is basically a rehydrated fish jerky.
Mhm.
And then you use that to do anything. If you mix it in with a batter and drop it into hot oil, you're essentially making a fritter, which is a codfish boil, which is a bacalito. What would you dip yours in? I'm telling you, you ask 70 people and they'd be like, oh, I used to like mine with tartar sauce. I used to like mine with cocktail sauce. I used to like mine. There's only one out of the 70 and it's him. They used to do it with just simple, which I think is also a Tim Duncan. Breakstone sour cream with a package of Lipton onion soup.
Yes,
mix. There was nothing like his mom wasn't caramelizing onions and with a little Worcestershire and a little bit of this and a little. She did it just out
Oh,
of it.
man.
I can't watch a football game without that shit. Like
Uh-huh.
Super Bowl, I always have that, no matter what kind of elevated stuff I have. So he brought him into the fucking Barstool Breakfast one day.
Yep.
We warmed them up in like a toaster oven, and we were eating them, and our breath. Holy cow! I'm so glad that we're not bringing back
Yeah.
that breath
Oh, man.
because that was fucking special.
That was like, yeah, that was that one dish that, like your mom's chicken, my mom's bacalitos was home.
Yeah,
Just made you feel like
and
home.
it's nothing like fondness.
No.
Yeah. I get emotional when I think about stuff like that. That's an emotional question for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fucking
How can it
weirdo.
not be?
Yeah. If I start crying because your mom's cod balls, that's crazy.
all right.
What's the greatest food you never had? Greatest movie I've never seen is probably, I don't know, Fight Club, or I've never seen like Citizen Kane. That's the greatest movie I've never seen. What's the greatest food that you've never had?
Oh,
Is there
man.
one that you've always had that's been sort of appealing to you, but for one reason or another, you just never tried it?
Oh, I feel like I've had everything.
And that's the problem with
Yeah.
asking a guy who signed a multi-year deal with the NFL. There's very little that you haven't checked
Yeah.
off your culinary bucket list.
So down south, man, they eat off the land. So I've never had like raccoon.
Okay.
Like,
So you're going back. Okay. Yeah.
But the way people from down south talk about it, depending on who makes the best, like they said, it's good coon, so to speak.
Right.
Is lights out. So I've never had that.
Just so you know, you said it. You son of a bitch. I've had raccoon a couple of times. There was a place that used to do a smoked watermelon. They would do a smoked seedless watermelon without the rind on it, smoke it for days, and they would slice it like a ham.
Oh, wow.
And that's what this place was known. It was a Duck's Eatery.
Okay.
Duck's Eatery was the name of the place. I went there with Wonton Don, and the guy had killed a raccoon and had it in the freezer for like a year.
Ooh.
Thawed it out and made a raccoon chili for me and Wonton Don. So I've had raccoon. I've had guinea pig with them and stuff like that. But I think raccoon, you know what I saw the other day, which turned me the fuck on? We have to get back to that, doing the thing with DraftKings where I pick a game just on like the teams. It was like Arkansas was playing LSU. So I was like, okay, LSU beignets, Arkansas possum pie. That's what I did research on. You know what's in possum pie?
No.
Graham cracker crust. Graham cracker crust, cheesecake, chocolate pudding, whipped cream. Isn't that a lot better than what you thought it was, man?
I didn't even think that was nowhere close.
I got to get some possum pie in me, right?
Yeah.
I took Arkansas and LSU once. So it doesn't work all the time. Like my math isn't that strong.
That sounds like it can run through you.
Oh, forget about it. Might as well eat on the toilet.
Yeah, I probably shit through a 10 horn after that.
yeah. I can lay down and shit on the ceiling. We'd have to go to St. Regis again just to get that fucking toilet hose. All right, we'll end with this. What's your death row meal? When Willie goes to prison, it's essentially going to be for somebody who insulted his family. There's
100%.
nobody who's more protective of his family than Willie. And I think there is no family that feels safer about it than the Colons.
Right.
I'm very protective of my family, but what can I do really at the end of the day? So you're going to go to prison.
You have
at some-
methods.
Yeah, I do.
You have methods.
So Willie, you're going to go to prison at some point and they are going to put you to death. And right before they do that, what do you order from the warden before you slip off this mortal coil?
You know, it's not going to be, I think, life-changing.
Okay.
But just a very well put together meatloaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, homemade biscuits, and a mint chocolate chip to finish it off.
A little bit of mint chocolate chip. I think that might be the perfect answer.
Send me home.
What else can I promote for you right now? What do we got going on?
So, yeah, thank you for that. So me and my wife came out a book called Faith and Fertility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about our journey between was the genesis of our relationship going into our IVF journeys. You know, we dealt with so much. She dealt with so much, you know, a reference to us having our children. And I think we've come across so many couples who don't talk about their IVF journey unless you bring it up first.
Right.
Because it's so intimate and personal.
Very personal, yeah.
We went through so much, man. And you were obviously a part of it because you knew a lot of what we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, sitting in those IVF clinics, man, the one doctor we went to, we would sit in rooms with people who had the means, meaning like they dressed to the nines. You could tell they were well cultured and traveled. And when we were having conversations with these couples, they had been in that clinic for 5 years,
right? Trying
to have one baby. Spending, I know for a fact,
a lot of money.
I know for a fact we spent over $100K trying to have between doctors, medication, treatment, and you know, a lot of our early journey with IVF, I was still playing. And so we kind of talk about everything my wife went through, what we went through as a couple. You know, my wife dealt with multiple miscarriages. My wife is 5 years older than me. And pretty much a lot of times doctors are saying, hey man, you may want to start looking into donors.
Yeah.
We don't think this is possible for you guys. And it was emotional, physical, spiritual journey. I had no idea because I spent a good portion of my career not trying to get women pregnant, right? Because I was just wild with it. And the one person I wanted to get pregnant, I couldn't. And what that meant to her and everything in between. And it's a great, great book. It's out right now. It's called Faith and Fertility. And it's doing really well right now. And I think it's doing really well with a lot of women who feel like the door has closed on them. And we're here to say, hey, keep going. Because one of the things that happened during that process of us trying to have a child, I watched my wife's body change. Not just for, one due to depression, then what the medicine was doing to her body. And also we weren't married at the time, but one of the things we dealt with from a relationships issue was, because we weren't able to conceive right away, we weren't married. Her big anxiety came from, well, he's not going to marry me now if I can't get.
Damaged goods like type thing.
Yeah, so it was a big
imperfect. I shouldn't say damaged goods. I don't mean it like that.
No, 100%. Yeah. So it was just like, it's a great book. It's a great book for couples who are still trying to and who really want to have a child. And there's so much knowledge behind it. And we were able to have 2 beautiful kids, man. And so it wasn't an easy road. And our faith was tested. Our relationship was tested. Her body physically was tested. And I'm talking about to the max. And I mean, one quick story. We were going against the Chiefs, and I had no flying before that game. I was with the Jets. We were going to play in Kansas City, and I had known that she was pregnant and prepared for the week. I'm like, hey, babe, call me if anything. My family's always close. So a lot of wives, when you feel like you're having trouble, the one time you get the notice that you're pregnant, you don't do anything. You want to stay still. You want to, all that stuff. We play the Chiefs. I come home and I'm going back to my apartment. It's just my dog in the apartment. So I'm calling her. I'm like, hey, where the hell are you? Come to find out, man, one of the wives that were on the team had rushed her to the hospital because she had miscarried. Okay. And all I found was a lot of stuff in the bathroom, not to be so graphic. So yeah. Those type of the episodes, those were the episodes that we were dealing with. And, it was a lot. It was a lot for us.
What made you all of a sudden... Like I know with my oldest son being adopted, that when we mention it to people, there are a lot of people who are like, oh shit, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That they would never have the comfort level to talk to us about if we didn't say it first. Yeah. We get that all the time. And because like you said, it's intimate. It's absolutely personal, particularly what happens with the woman mentally and physically. What was the inflection point? Did you feel like you're out of the woods and you're blessed having these 2 kids absolutely ruin your beautiful house and you're no longer able to go out for fancy meals and stuff? You're like, we got to share this path to misery with the world. Right. If we're fucked with kids, everyone else got it. But what makes you open up? Because you are not necessarily an open book when it comes to everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was because, one of the things that, Large, we've talked about this in private. Yeah. I was a wild dog. And I wasn't very spiritual. And I remember one of Keisha's prayers that I heard her pray was, Lord, bring him to me and I'm going to bring him to you. Mm-hmm. Which was very powerful because I needed direction. I was bitter coming off the field because my mind and my body was very much into playing football. But my body had left me. I couldn't play them. My knees were shit. Yeah. So I was very lost and kind of grieving in a very much way. And I was spiritless, and she brought faith into my life. And I'm talking about a woman that prayed. I say this on record, and I know people aren't, people can take it however they want. This woman willed herself and prayed herself into 2 children. When we sat in those doctor's office and doctors was like, hey, it's not happening for you. You're already in premenopause. Oh, hey, this isn't happening for you because this is your egg count, or this is your egg reserve, or this is, or your FSH numbers, or forget about it, right? So, doctors who slammed the door in our face time after time, and this woman said no, no. And so taking all that, man, and like I said before, we've come across so many couples who have even given up, or couples who have taken on donorship and taking the donor route and don't talk about it because they're ashamed.
Right.
And I'm talking about people with means, and not just the people that without means.
Right.
And so
it's not a poor person problem.
It's not.
No.
But, now I think, and I think more people or companies are starting to help women out.
It's not just a poor person problem. I shouldn't say that. It's not a poor people can have kids whenever the fuck they want. But I'm just saying it doesn't just happen. Like if you have all the money in the world to throw at this quote unquote problem, right? Or whatever it is in whoever's fault, not all the money in the world.
Well, companies are now, and businesses are now helping the women out with the medication and the treatment. They're willing to pay for it. But that wasn't the case back in the day. And I think it's still limited to a certain degree. And so we just know there's a lot of families, there's a lot of couples and a lot of women out there who are just fighting their tail off to have one child.
Yeah.
And what they go through, and we know what they're going through. And we just wanted this book to be a source of motivation of saying, hey man, you can do it.
Can we throw a link in?
Yeah, I could definitely.
We can throw a link in, right?
Yeah.
So we'll throw, so the link will be down here,
Yeah.
but just before, the name of it again is
Faith and Fertility.
just in case you're at some place where you're not able
It's
to
on
click
Amazon.
on a link.
Yeah, it's
you
on
can, you
Amazon.
can go on Amazon and check it out. Incredibly,
It's an easy read.
Yeah.
It's a lot of my stories, our stories. And it's a lot, but I think it lands great.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I'm 6'5", Annie's 5'5". She's the stronger of the two. Willie's 6'3". Aikisha's not 5'5".
No.
Aikisha's
5 feet.
yeah, so she's
Maybe
yeah,
5'1", 5'2".
yeah, she's 5'2".
Right.
I can't believe he just said 5 foot. I apologize, Aikisha. And by far the stronger of the two.
Yes.
Right? Which is extraordinary.
By far.
I'm not going to let you go. So we're dropping a link in on that. I'm not going to let you go because I'm remembering some other stuff. Remember when we had spoke to like, maybe it was Mangold, and we asked, how much did he have to spend on like a rookie meal? Remember we came up with that type of stuff? His answer wasn't that good, I don't think. Like it was, right? Or I did it with somebody else.
They went to Atlantis.
Oh yeah, they went on a trip, right? Or something
He was
like
talking
that.
about his rookie dinner. My rookie dinner didn't go well.
Yeah, so yeah, I think people have a fascination with that. I can't let. What are we at this now? So we're at 2 hours and some minutes. I'm telling you right now, I didn't hit one fucking headline with you. We made our career and our friendship off of reacting to fucking headlines.
Right.
So I have a ton. There's an Australian woman who popped up on my timeline today. She's a meat expert. I messaged her. I said, if you're in New York City, I'd like you to come on thing. I don't know her name. I'll mention it next time. She fucking, did that thing on TikTok where you stitch in. Like some woman who was like, and you don't know why you don't eat Wagyu beef? They sometimes force feed these cow candy.
Yeah.
And then she comes on. I'll tell you whether or not that's true. This is one of them. 80% of their fucking diet is whatever it is. 20% of it is candy and chocolate. And this meat is one of the most delicious things you put in your mouth. Like, I love that. I could talk to Willie about stories about food like that all
Yeah.
day. So maybe let's do a part 2. Yeah.
I'm fine.
So I'm
Whatever
just
you
gonna
wanna do.
I'm just
Whatever
gonna
you
ask you about one of those things, because what else were we talking about with these pros, these fucking freaks of nature that fight in the fucking arena for us every year? It's definitely the rookie dinner.
You want it? So you want to talk about my?
I want your rookie dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I'm closing it.
So my rookie dinner was so
It wasn't your death row meal. I can tell you that. It's no fucking mashed potatoes and meatloaf.
So this is how it went. So the line that the line that was before me won a Super Bowl in 05. So that consisted of Marvell Smith, Alan Faneca, Jeff Hardings, Kendall Simmons, and Max Starks. These were considered the OGs, right? Rightfully so. So I'm the next wave of offensive linemen. They only drafted 2, which is me and Marvin Phillips. I was drafted in the 4th round, 131. Marv was drafted in the 6th round. He was actually Aaron Rodgers' sitter at Cal, right? Little side story. Me and Marv, I acquired the most money out of both of us. Fine. We went. So they tell us.
Was he behind? Right. So he was behind Nick then, and didn't.
No, this is the Steelers.
Oh, Steelers. I'm sorry.
with the
I'm
Steelers.
fucked up. I apologize.
I'm with the Steelers at this time.
Yeah.
So fast forward, they tell us like, hey man, your rookie dinner's coming up. We're going to do this at Morton's Steakhouse. This is what we need, right? We need you to get a party bus, right? For the after, to pick everybody up, take us to the restaurant, and if we all get banged up, to take us to the next spot, which was like a club called Deja Vu at the time in the Strip District in Pittsburgh. Fine, we get the party bus. The party bus now has to be loaded with not only alcohol, but sodas. It has to be decked out.
Yeah.
Fine, we take care of that. We get to Morton's, and then we have a back room. It's like a big back room, like most steakhouses have, right? It has to fit everybody. So I'm thinking the room is only going to consist of the offensive line unit. That's not true. We now have the backup quarterbacks and the current quarterback, which was Ben Roethlisberger. So we have the quarterbacks and the offensive line. So which the room consists of 10, 12 guys. Now the steakhouse, because of the quarterbacks, is about 16 guys, roughly, right?
Yeah. 16 professional football players, including the biggest guys on the team.
Correct. So the OG of the table was Alan Faneca. He sat at the head. I sat at the other head. Right next to me was Marvin Phillips. On the left of me is a backup center by the name of Chucky Okobi, right? He backed up Jeff Hardings. Sure. Prior to this dinner, Chucky was telling us, watch out, we're going to crack your ass. We're going to crack your wallet. Fine. When listening to it, doesn't make me feel good because I'm from a small school by the name of Hofstra. I used to get excited off Pell Grant, which gave us $2,000, and I used to feel like $1 million in my pocket. So,
and you never left New York
never left New York
until he went to Pittsburgh to play football. So we're talking about a kid from the Bronx Projects who went away to school in Long Island. He went away to school. He got there by the fucking LIRR.
Right.
Like that was, and for his family, he was considered fucking Magellan for doing that.
Yes.
Then he goes to, the fucking sexiest place in the world, Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
Right. Land in Pittsburgh. Fine. So Chucky is telling me a week or two prior to the dinner that they're going to kick my ass in reference to paying this big bill.
Yeah.
Made me a little nervous, but fuck it, it is what it is. It's a rite of passage. I've heard other guys go through it. Whatever. We're going to morning. Everybody's ordering the finest steaks and the wines. My wines crack your ass, right?
Yeah.
On top of everything else, my three buddies who were at the time, Trey Essex, Matt Starks, and Chris Kimolato, they're more in my age group, and we all play together. So we all eating, and the guys are eating and drinking, ordering wines I've never heard of.
Right.
They're lavish, right? Fine. So the bill comes, and I don't get nervous, but I'm like, it is what it is at this point. I see the bill. The bill now says $26,000.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
I look at it and say,
What year?
This is 06.
Got it. 20 years ago.
Right. So I'm going, so it's like $26,000. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna split this bill, right? With my other draft guy, the 6th rounder, Marvin Phillips. I hand him the bill. I'm like, man, just put your card in. Let's just get rid of it, right? Marv now goes, I can't afford that.
Ooh.
You can't. He's like, you're going to have to do this all by
you
yourself.
Get the bigger contract.
And I'm telling you, go fuck yourself. I need you to help me pay this. He goes, bro, I'm telling you, I don't have that. So I'm like, okay. While I'm looking at this bill, my three buddies, they're like, yo, give me the bill. Let me see what's on it. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, cool. On top of that, I don't know if you know what Louis the 13th is.
I do. Louis Trez.
Three guys at that table had ordered Louis the 13th to add on to that bill.
Yeah.
So that was a nut kicker, right? So I get the bill back, pull out my black card. First time I think I've ever whipped it out all season, right?
Right.
Chucky Kobe is like, oh, shit, bragging now. He's like, oh, shit, I told you we were going to get you. We got your ass, da, 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 da. So I'm now went from I'm okay with this to now I'm pissed because I feel like I just got robbed, right? And I'm looking at this bill. I'm just like, whatever. I'm looking at, so Chucky at this time knows I'm salty about this. Like he knows I'm getting revved up for it. So he's like, man, I don't know why you acting like that. Da, da, da. Like everybody got to do it. What make you any different, right? Talking to me. I'm like, Chucky, go on with that bullshit. Yada, yada. I don't want to talk about it. He goes, you know what? He's like, you acting all sensitive, acting like a little bitch. If you know there's this, Lars should tell you.
I can tell you.
There's one word.
Does not like.
I don't like, and I don't do well with.
Pulled me aside. First week working there. I had said something. He's like, listen, I don't know you well enough that you can fucking talk to me like that. I said, well, if you knew me well enough, you would know. I'm very sorry, sir. I'll never do it again. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
it's terrifying.
I'm at the table with all the OGs, my teammates, and guys who I respect and love. I'm pissed about this bill. Chucky's in my ass about my demeanor about not willing to pay it, but I knew I was going to pay it. Sign a check, hand it off. The room, everybody's kind of getting a little quiet because they know I'm upset about it, right? I had never seen that type of money in my life. I didn't even know I had that type of money. I just know my guy, my financials, like, you got it, but we don't want you spending it like that.
Right.
But it's a rite of passage. I ate it. Chucky keeps chapping Europe. He goes, he gets a doggy bag, by the way. What one of his wine bottles he brought. And he's like, you need to stop acting like a bitch. And as he stands up, he comes to this, like I'm sitting like this. He stands up inside of me, comes this close to my ear. He's like, you need to stop acting like a bitch. And bro, from that point on, I stood up and I just started throwing them things. Me and him just start whamming at each other,
Rookie
right?
dinner.
We're slugging at each other. And Marvell Smith, tough son of a bitch who I love, got so much respect from, yokes me up, puts me in a chokehold, and like dragging me off. And they separated us and they pushed Chucky out the door. 5 minutes later, the cops show up because we had made so much of a ruckus and noise. They thought we was in back there scrapping, which we were. Yeah. But they thought we were breaking shit. And so the cops come in, they was just like, so the restaurant was like, we think a couple Steelers have fights or they're wrestling back there, And that's how that is. That was my rookie dinner.
That's your rookie dinner.
And then from there, we got back onto the party bus and we went to the club. And everybody was like, man, I don't know how word got it just traveled fast. It was like, man, we heard you was fighting in Morton's. And I was like, yeah, I got in a fight with Chucky. So.
Morton's was top of the food chain back then too.
It was top
it's before there was any other like fast like chains that was acceptable.
Yeah.
Morton's was the shit. Now you got like the Capitol Grills who come in that aren't the standalones and whatnot. But Morton's was with the pig lamps. That was the top of the food chain for that. I think I'm going to let you go. Like we could do part 2 if you want at any point where you want to come back and we could just shoot the shit.
I would love for us the next time we come back, talk about like some of the food adventures that you and I have been on. Meaning the Coochie Frito spot on 116th.
116th, we went to Coochie Fritos fucking at the counter.
Yes, the counter.
We've had a lot of meals together.
Yeah.
Fuck. And so when I walk into a Coochie Fritos spot, I can do that today, actually.
I can't do it today, but yeah.
The Tamarindo.
Oh my God.
And he takes 2 stools. They're those stools that are the solid ones that are in the ground. Willie's a big guy. I'm a big guy. So they're the solid stools with just, old school, like soda jerk kind of soda jerk. Who's going to understand that fucking reference? Do you ever go to a sarsaparilla with your favorite honey? So he sits down on 2 fucking stools, one ass cheek on the other one. So I got to cram into him like a bitch. And we had such a fucking great meal. The chicharrones there were fucking off the chain.
But I think we've had
mofungos. We had that. I think
we had everything. We had the morcilla. We had the
blood sausage.
We've had the chicken. We had the paneer. We had everything.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a lot of fucking great meals. All right, go.
No, I'm saying the reason I like that because between those stories, the Arturos, just like stuff at your house, my house. I mean, we kind of did a little deep dive, but yeah, listen.
Scratch the surface. So we've had a love affair, Willie and I, for a long, long time. So having somebody come in like him, I don't even think I did a history thing today. That's fine. We'll get one next week. Having somebody come in like him makes my job. It just reminds me how great my job was when we had the radio show.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So it's I don't know. It's just so fucking easy. But either way, so we'll drop the link for Willie's new book. By the way, I didn't think
Faith and Fertility.
I don't think I'd ever thought I was going to say that. I'm dropping a link for Willie's new book. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like people, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you that you're able to do it.
I've been telling you to drop a cookbook forever.
Yeah, no, but that's different. I think honestly, I think like to your point.
You don't think between your Wall Street stories, which he's told them 5 times over, and I always listen to it like I've never heard it because I love him that much. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, your food knowledge and what you know about food, there has to be a merger that's going to knock people off. Large does something that pisses me off because as you show, I'm more the Ric Flair of the two of us, right?
Right.
He has a wealth of knowledge that is really deep because he's a reader and he's smart and educated. But I knew this shit was real because I went golfing with a guy and he goes, Willie, do you work with Lars? I'm like, yeah. He goes, man, I've been following that guy a long time. I'm like, okay, why the fuck are you telling me this? He's like, because his days from Take a Report, I mean, he's an icon, right? I had to do a charity. I'm dead serious. I had to do a charity event down on Wall Street where you walk around the office and you take a call, you take a picture, act like you're on the 3. And everybody did not give a shit that I was an ex-Jet or Steeler. Even though I'm Super Bowl decorated, they wanted to know, is Lars real? Meaning if the Take a Report shit is like, they treated Lars like this, like, cultural icon, like this dude, like this mystical figure. And I'm like, yeah, it's all real. It's him. And so like Lars doesn't take credit for that, which blows my mind. He's just like, yeah, that was a time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, bro, you know how many middle-aged white men survived their marriage because of your Take a Report?
Yeah.
Like survived solely because of you.
I had to force him to start posting the food videos.
Like
he didn't even want to
he goes through this period where he's just like, he's timid. I'm like, bro, you are like a walking, like he's like the Frank the Tank of the Wall Street world.
I appreciate you saying that. And I agree with you. I think that we throw around the word blessed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that I've had a life, you start to get older and you think about what's it all about, right? Because you can't take it with you and all that stuff. And I think I'm leaving behind a legacy with my kids that I'm extremely proud of, and with my wife that I'm extremely proud of. But
like you're a walking Netflix movie.
Yeah, I think there's something there. I'm probably criminally underused here at Barstool. Some people have made careers not at Barstool but anywhere on one good story, and I've had an interesting fucking road to where I am now. A couple of reinventions and whatnot, and I think that's one of the things why people kind of liked us, because we were reinventing at the same time.
Yeah.
This kid's knees let out on him and he couldn't do what he loved anymore. And to be quite honest with you, the business that I was good at, didn't have a love for it like you did for football, was going away. The commission business for block traders wasn't the same as it was the business. So we were basically fucked. So any kind of reinvention, I think people like to see that too. And on top of it, there is some stuff from my past. And, we're going to try and bleed it out here on the podcast every now and again. I can't give everybody everything. Just like Milton Berle. I only had to show him the first 11 inches, So I don't know. I think it's one of those things where the more that we do and doing stuff like this, Willie, like this food podcast, you got to admit, I was born to do it. Like I love to talk about it. It's nothing, if I'm not very good at it, that's on me. But having a platform to do it, thank you, Barstool. Thank you, Dave. For allowing me to do it. And it wouldn't make any sense without this asshole who I like.
Respect.
I don't like rather. Right. Because having the biggest story in the world, most interesting person in the universe doesn't mean anything if people can't see it and people won't look at it unless it's tailored.
One of the best advice I ever received here at Barstool was from Dave Portnoy's father. And I received this advice because me and my big mouth and my ego and my hot-headedness got into a little bit of back and forth with him and the uncle, whatever. Right. And so we were on radio going back and forth, and he goes, Willie, all I can tell you is stay in your lane. You need to stay in your lane. At the time when I received that type of whatever, I was like, who the fuck are you talking to? Right. And whatever. Right. I was in my shit about it. However, that was probably the most, it was so poignant, so right, and so built for me because Large has stayed in his lane, owned his lane, and that's why he's still here today. I wish I would have listened to that message and say, Willie, do what you do. You don't have to do everything. Just stay in your lane, own your lane, dominate your lane. And I think you do a fantastic job at standing in your lane, owning your lane to the point where people want to be in your lane solely because you're there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So that's if that was my only pushback or anything I walked away from it, like I wish I would have just dominated my lane. Like most people here, when they leave Barstool, they dominate their lane and they take off.
Yeah. So, I think Cousin Mike was the only person that would have been able, like you had to hear that from somebody who you knew you could have turned their hip to dust. You know what I mean? Like this, Mike and Murray, bang, bang. Cousin Mike. I just saw Mr. Portnoy.
Oh, great.
Last week he was in town.
Shout out Mr. Portnoy.
Yeah, he's the man. Fuck it, let's do another hour. It's being so anyway, this is Willie Colon. I'm sorry. What you got?
5-star review.
Oh yeah. Again, give me one of these. I thought he was waving.
He says he wants hand signals.
I do. Like but he does this.
That's like the fifth time
I'm like, let me wrap it up. And Ian was like, bye. But he was saying 5. So if you drop a 5-star review anywhere that you watch or listen to these podcasts, we did 2 of the comments today. We appreciate all the feedback. We appreciate everybody who is watching and listening. Tell a friend about it. And we'll see you next week on You Gotta Try This.